Good evening. Would everybody please take their seats, whatever seats are left? We will now call this Monday, September 15, 2008 p.m. City Council meeting to order. We have with us tonight the Reverend William Chambers of the Church of Nazarene, who will bring the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance with the Police Explorers and Councilman Melvin McCormick. Would you all please stand with me?
Won't you join me in prayer? Almighty God, we pray your blessing tonight for our mayor and esteemed council members and the entire administrative team whom we have entrusted with the authority and weighty responsibility to lead our wonderful city of Homestead. We thank you for our firefighters and police officers who daily risk their lives to protect us. Lord, make our paths sure and establish our ways, that we may do works of good that lift the downtrodden and leave a better place for those who follow in our steps. Governing is not an easy task, and tonight we request your guidance. Men and women give advice, but you, O Lord, provide guidance. We need your guidance and wisdom now that we may faithfully and justly discharge our duties while compassionately attending the needs of our residents. Give us the best answers for the delicate issues we face tonight. May you be pleased by all that is accomplished here, and may we continue to look to you as our strength and protection. Amen.
Amen.
I got pants, can't speak, coat, vote very hard.
Please join me in pledging our nation's flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On earth, on. Right face, vote very hard.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bell?
Here.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Here.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Here.
Councilman Nelson?
Here.
Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilwoman Walden? Here. Here.
No votes. Thank you. Additions, deletions, deferrals?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we'd like to defer the item, the EAR DCA report under tab 10. That needs to go, we need to hear back from the state of Florida before we're ready to hear that on second reading.
Time uncertain, date uncertain.
Date uncertain.
Thank you.
Need a motion, please.
I'll entertain a motion for deferral.
I'll move, Mayor.
I'll second. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Special presentations. We have Officer of the Month for July 2008, Officer Adelia Sermon. Councilman Nelson.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. City Manager, Major Kennedy. Good evening, everyone. I am Captain Angela Washington with the Homestead Police Department, and on behalf of the Awards Committee, I am here to present to you our Officer of the Month for the month of July Awards recipient. And that person is Officer Edie Sermon. Officer Sermon started her career as a police officer with the Florida City Police Department back in 1994. She served the citizens of Florida City for 5 years before joining the Homestead Police Department's family. Officer Sermon has now been with the police department for 9.5 years. She spent 5 years in Uniform Patrol Division before being assigned a detective in the General Investigation Unit. Her specialty was domestic violence, frauds, and forgeries. She recently came back to Uniform Patrol in July 2008 and is currently assigned to day shift. During her first month back on the road, she had the highest stats on her shift, which earned her the Officer of the Month title. She made a total of 10 arrests, 6 felonies, 4 misdemeanors. She wrote several field interview cards, FI cards, and handled over 100 calls for service. At this time, I would like to highlight some of her accomplishments for the month of July. On July 10th, 2008, Officer Sermon was dispatched to an apartment complex referencing a male that had been beaten. The victim had just returned home from work when he was approached in the parking lot by 2 males who wanted him to share a beer with them. When the victim refused, the males cursed at him. The victim was then punched in the face and the mouth numerous times and struck in the face with a beer bottle. The victim sustained bruising in his to his right cheekbone, right eye, and a laceration to his lip area. One of the subjects was located and the victim positively identified him as his attacker. Officer Sermon arrested the subject and charged him with aggravated battery. On July 23, 2008, Officer Sermon responded to a burglary which had just occurred. A maintenance man, the witness, had observed the male inside the fenced-in backyard removing scrap metal. The subject had also removed an air conditioner compressor but dropped it when the maintenance man yelled at him. The subject fled on a bicycle, pulling a shopping cart that contained the aluminum. An area check for the subject met with negative results. A short time later, while Officer Sermon was still in the area, the subject was located still riding his bicycle and pulling the shopping cart with the victim's property inside. Officer Sermon read the subject his Miranda rights and he admitted to taking the aluminum because he needed the money. The victim's property was returned and the subject was arrested and charged accordingly. On July 29, 2008, Officer Sermon was dispatched in an emergency mode to one of our local convenience stores referencing a male beaten with a bat. When she arrived, she observed the victim lying on the floor inside the store. Her investigation revealed that the victim and the witness were walking to a bus stop with their child to catch a bus. For no reason, the subject started yelling and cursing at the victim. The subject left and returned with a second male. The first subject got out of the truck and struck the victim with a baseball bat. As the victim tried to flee the scene, the second subject got out of the vehicle and started chasing the victim with a machete. The 2 subjects fled the area, however, they were apprehended a short time later and charged with aggravated battery and aggravated assault. Officer Sermon also located the baseball bat and the machete that was used against the victim. Officer Sermon is a highly motivated officer who comes to work each day to do her job and help out as many people as she can. She performs her duties professionally and with a lot of compassion when dealing with the public. Her experience has enabled her to become very knowledgeable in many of the areas, and she always performs her tasks given to her to the best of her ability. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our Officer of the Month for the month of July 2008, Officer.
On behalf of the City of Homestead, I'd like to present Officer Adelia Sermon for being Officer of the Month, July 2008. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I'd like to just give a couple of thank yous. I'd like to start by thanking Chief Roll for the opportunity he gave me 10 years ago when I came to the Homestead Police Department. I especially like to thank Sergeant Crumpler, who was my direct supervisor, for recognizing my work and nominating me for Officer of the Month. There was many other deserved officers, and I'd like to thank him for that. The command staff for selecting me over other well-deserved officers when you guys got the choice. City Council Mayor for support of the police department. Thank you guys. And I'd especially like to thank all the officers at HPD that always had my back, and they also deserve the credit. Most importantly, to my family, to my husband, our children, for their support through long days, shifts, call-outs, and hours. Thank you.
Along with Officer of the Month comes a nice little gift package from our local businesses. during the tough times, they're always there to help our police, which I really appreciate that. The awards plaque was donated by Awards Incorporated. The city attorney, Weiss and Sirota, donated $100. First National Bank of South Florida, $50 savings bond. Community Bank of Florida, $50 savings bond. Ferguson Jewelers, $75 gift certificate. Logos, $50 gift certificate. Blake Chevrolet, $300 lube filter and oil change in car detailing, tire rotation. Captain Car Wash, $20 value car wash. Nita Jensen, 2 memberships for the Homestead Community Concerts. And dinner for 2 at Maya's Creole Cafe at Stickenstein's.
Thank you. Yes. I want to do that.
Thank you very much and congratulations again. Item B, we have the Homestead Merchants Association Red Cross fundraiser presentation. Would everybody please come forward? All parties.
Good evening, Mayor Bell and the distinguished council. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Colin. Of course, I'm with Maya's Cajun Shack and Stickenstein's, and we are here with the Homestead Merchants Association. I just want to reiterate what we stand for. Our dish, if you might want to put it this way, that we serve up is, the recipe is many ingredients. One of them is to stimulate the business of Homestead. Another is to help other merchants as they grow along. And one of our biggest, and hopefully to have our events once a month, starting we have an event coming up, which we're working alongside the Homestead City, and that's on October 25th, and that's going to be the Family Fall. And it's music in the park, and we're hoping that's going to be once a month, but that's on October 25th, and that's coming up. We're going to have youth bands from Music Depot that we're really excited to celebrate the youth of Homestead and the arts and the upcoming musicians. And then we're going to follow up with a professional band. It's going to be a great night. And then just right around the corner, of course, is Speed Fest on November 15th, so we're excited about that. But also one of our main objectives is to raise money for charity. And our last event, the Summerfest, we raised money for the Red Cross, which we really believe in, and I want to introduce you to Elizabeth.
Hi. Thank you all. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and City officials for us being here this evening. During Summerfest, our goal was to raise money for the Red Cross, and it was a stretch for us because we were all beginning. Not all of us were able to get together. We work full-time jobs. We belong to several other organizations, but we did raise some money, and we're really proud of it. I'd like to really thank the city for their support, and also all the members and people that gave us in-kind donations and whatnot. But Sticks and Stein and Maya's Cafe really pulled this off with the Red Cross because they donated their time, their beverages, and their food for a fundraiser on the Friday night before the event, which really helped to boost our money. So I'll get right to the point, and I'd like to present a check to the American Red Cross of Greater Miami and the Keys for $2,884.75.
Just, oh, okay, maybe not. Just wanted to say on behalf of the Red Cross and truly everybody that we serve, everybody in the community that you serve so well, thank you so very much for the generosity and for the event, bringing awareness at such a memorable time for this city in August to bring awareness about hurricane safety and disaster preparedness and donating such a wonderful check to us. We're just very pleased to be a part of this and to be I think your first event. So thank you so very much for that. Mayor and council members, thank you all for your support of this program, because we know, like everything else in this community, the mayor and the council members are behind it, and this community is very lucky to have such strong community-based leadership to support events like this. And the Homestead Merchant Association, I know, has got a great future with this kind of enthusiastic leadership, and so thank you all very much. And I also want to say a special thank you to somebody that you probably know a lot better than I, a couple of people, Marilyn Rams, who is our volunteer chair of the South Dade Advisory Council, and I think most of you know Jessica Davis, who is our branch manager for South Dade, and their leadership with our organization, enthusiasm has been terrific. Thank you very, very much for this and for your kindness for letting us speak this evening.
Our pleasure. Thank you and congratulations.
And I would like to, I'm not sure which one of you wants to accept this. Is he okay? I'd like to present you with a plaque and grateful appreciation to Homestead Merchant Association for supporting the Red Cross. Thank you.
I made that back there. All right, there we go.
Thank you again, Mayor, for all of your support, and we're looking forward to the rest of the year and all of our festivals. Thank you so much.
Well, while you guys are up here, because you said the Downtown Merchants Association, I know we said Maya's and we said Stickenstein. Why don't we have the next introduction of the other businesses there?
We can't go any further without introducing Hector Hernandez from Toro Taco.
I actually work for Keysgate Communications. I'm part of the Keysgate community. We do a community newspaper that we mail to every home over in that neighborhood.
My name is Don Gonzalez. I own and operate silkscreentshirts.com and CMYK Printing Solutions.
Thank you very, very much.
Hi, in case you don't know, I'm Steve DeGrave, and I do own the Stickenstein and the That Monkey Bar on Chrome Avenue.
Thank you. I don't see Denise Martinez-Scanzani in the audience. Is she here? We'll defer that, put her the next time. I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. The consent agenda has been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you very much. Moving on to public hearings.
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment on any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentation on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish either to be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask witnesses of questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk in accordance with Code Section 2591. Any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Mr. Wise, tab 6, I spoke with the developer.
So noted. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Yes, moving on to tab 4. Tab 4 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for the Miami-Dade County East Homestead Fire Rescue Station, located on the southeast corner of Palm Drive, southwest 344th Street, and Valencia Gardens Drive, southeast 13th Avenue, within the villages of Homestead Development of Regional Impact, as legally described in Exhibit A, consisting of approximately 0.71 acres, and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing. Is there a staff report on this item? Ms. Kamali?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and member of the council. This is a replat of the final plat of a fire station that is located on 344th and 13th. This fire station is already constructed and is operating at this time. It went through the site plan review and came before the council on May 2nd of 2005.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Just glad to see they're getting the road work done out there. Thank you, Julio.
Yeah.
For staying on the county.
Ms. Kamali, I have a question, and it doesn't really refer to the fire station, but in front of it where they're putting the big roundabout, is it, or is that 67?
You're on the right.
I'm on the right one, yeah. It's right in front of 66, right?
Yeah, that's correct, ma'am.
Right. We need to talk about that big roundabout. It took a complete lane away.
Actually, Hall was working with the county.
That's correct.
Going west, the two lanes are still intact. Going east, they took about one lane practically. Hall is working with them.
It's a problem.
We're working with the county to make sure that they include the two lanes in both directions.
It's about twice the size of the normal road.
We've already contacted them and they know.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public on this item? Any further comments or questions from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Yes, next item, tab 5, a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for the development of a 9,120 square foot building on approximately 2.3 acres of land located on Southwest 1st Street between Southwest 8th and Southwest 6th Avenues, and within the boundaries of the Southwest planned urban neighborhood as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. A staff report on this item?
Sure. The subject property is 2.3 acre and is located in the southwest area, and it complies with our southwest neighborhood redevelopment plan. The subject parcel is right now has a 13,440 square feet of metal building that they are getting rid of, and they are replacing it with a 9,120 square feet of building, and they are complying with all our requirements in the Southwest Master Plan.
Thank you very much. I also saw that it came with a unanimous vote from Planning and Zoning as well.
That's correct, Mayor.
Yes, do the council members have any questions?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
Comment, Mayor Bell. My concern was with the exterior structure of the location, and Ms. Kamali was gracious enough to confirm that I had originally thought that it was a chain link fence. It is not a chain link fence. It is aluminum style fencing with interior landscaping, so it won't be a sore eye item, which is good. Thank you.
Also, I noted that it adopted the same vernacular that's required within the plan, within the Southwest Master Plan, that as noted, so thank you. Any further comments? Ms. Councilwoman Waldman.
Thank you. The joining of the two parcels with unity of title, James, you're going to be reviewing that? It says...
Yes, that's noted as one of the conditions. Right. Condition number 2. I would also like to just add language that says in a form approved by the city attorney.
Yes, I think that is very appropriate. I was unsure. It says shall be approved, and I just didn't feel that was strong enough language. So I like what you just said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions or comments for the applicant or for Ms. Kamali? This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? If you have a comment or question from the public, you need to go to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item, tab 6, a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for the development of the 6,582 square foot professional office building located on approximately 0.34 acres of land on the northwest corner of Northeast First Drive and Northeast Third Road, southwest of the intersection of US 1 and Maury Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second it, Mayor.
It's been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. Staff report, Ms. Kamali.
Sure. The subject property right now is vacant. Is going to be a two-story, 6,582 square feet of professional building. The current zoning is B1 within the future land use of TMU, which allows for B1, B1A, B2, and restricted B3. I'm sorry. Okay. There is a proportionate fair share for transportation that is going to come before you later tonight.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council for staff or for the applicant? This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from public? Thank you very much. We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going to recuse myself on the next item. I'm going to vacate for just a few minutes because of my relationship with the applicant. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, tab number 7, is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of Stephanie and Richard Ward for a rezoning from one family district R1 to professional business restricted district B1A for property located at 175 Northwest 14th Street, consisting of approximately 0.31 acres as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
I move it.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Second. This is a public hearing. Can I, any reports from the staff, please?
Sure. This is a single-family house, about 1,000 square feet that they are changing from R1 to B1A. It complies with the future land use for PMU, which allows for B1A, R1, R2, R3, and townhouses.
I see the applicant, I think after the applicant, then we'll have the questions would be best. Applicant have anything to say?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. My name is Gail Springer with GSD Group at 18132 Southwest 89th Court, Palmetto Bay. I'm here as a zoning consultant on behalf of the applicants, Stephanie and Richard Ward. The location is 175 Northwest 14th Street. We're requesting a rezoning from single-family residential to professional office. I've passed out to you this evening a petition of the surrounding neighbors. There are 13 signatures along with individual letters from those petitioners in favor of the application, and a future land use colored map, future land use to show that all of the land surrounding this particular piece of property has been future land use planned as professional mixed use, and this hearing would comply, this rezoning request would comply with the city's future land use plan.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes. Ms. Waldman?
Thank you very much. I just want to first of all say congratulations.
Thank you.
I think this is wonderful, and I don't know, Mr. Ward, but I just really want to commend you. I know that your business was in the incubator, and it grew, it was a success, and now we see a complete success because you're willing to reinvest in our community and bring your business there, and you have faith in the community. So I applaud you. It's people like you and your business. I know I read your wife's articles in the paper every time they're in there, and I pass them out to my breast cancer survivor group on the nutrition and all the things. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time and energy to build a business in Homestead, build it properly, go out there, buy a property, and come to us and ask to be in our community. So thank you very much.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Waldman, thank you so much for your kind words, and I'd just like to express to the council that Stephanie Ward, who will be actually running this business, is stuck in Houston. Unfortunately, she was in training last week and cannot get out, so that's why she's not here. Otherwise, she would have been here with bells on. And I will relay the message. Thank you.
Any other
Vice
questions?
Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Lobos.
I just want to address some of the comments that come from the P&Z minutes. I know there was a lot of concern with what could happen to the site if this business were to not to sell it, and then somebody else could come in. And I know that there was a lot of discussion on a new construction could be up to 2 stories, and a lot of discussion on that. As I understand it, the house is going to remain as is. The building is going to function in the house as is, right?
Vice Mayor, Councilwoman Lobos, yes. At this point in time, the house will remain as is. They are willing and ready to go get permits tomorrow if they can to renovate it so that it can become a professional office space and follow all the guidelines and comply with all the zoning regulations.
Okay, thank you. And I just wanted to address P&Z and all the comments that were made in there, that if anything were to change, we do have the ability to look at the site plan, and then we could have comment at that point, which of course we're going to limit. I don't think that anybody on this council, based on how we voted in the past, will support anything above a 2-story, let alone a 6-story building, which I just cannot see going in this place. Thank you.
Mr. Shahada, I saw you had a comment a minute ago.
Actually, I was going to make a comment, but I just went there and talked to Cherie. Since this is going to be an existing building and they're working on the existing building, there may not be a site plan coming for council approval. Am I correct, Cherie?
Yes, this is the existing building. However, this is in the northwest master plan, and the maximum is allowed is 3 stories. So it's never going to be a 6-story. Even any addition like that, we make sure we give it a good review to make sure it complies with our requirement for northwest.
Right. If anything were to change, then we would have the opportunity to see a site plan as is. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing anything.
Right.
Right. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Manager?
No, I just want to clarify because Councilwoman Lopez is absolutely correct. Normally when you have a site plan, we could always work on the site plan staff with their architects or engineers to incorporate all the zoning requirements or some restrictions. And of course, when it comes to council for approval, you could also add additional things you'd like to see in the area. Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes, Ms. Sierra.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to mention that Ms. Ward not only is choosing to remain in our community, which is wonderful, but she is such a participant of our Chamber of Commerce, Florida City and Homestead, City of Homestead Chamber of Commerce. She's almost at every single breakfast. She's at many of the lunches. She definitely loves and adores this community, and this is something that is just great when she's able to go out of the incubator and find her own location now. I'm very happy for her, and I wish her great success. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? This is a public hearing. Anybody from the public that would like to make a comment, please go to the podium. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos? Yes. Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman? Yes. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Councilman Mayor, for while you're getting there, this is Johanna Lundgren from our office who worked on the sign code, and so I've asked her to be here to answer any questions you have on it. She's also going to read it.
Well, thank you, but that concludes the quasi-judicial, and now we're in legislative. Thank you. The following item is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 23, Signs and Advertising, Article 3, Signs, Division 1 generally, to amend definitions relating to signs and advertising, amending Division 2, Permits, to amend requirements related to sign permits, amending Division 3, Regulations, to amend regulations of signs, amending Division 4, nonconforming signs, to provide for amendments of regulations of nonconforming signs,
amending Chapter 30 supplemental regulations by deleting Section 30-543 signs to consolidate signage regulations within Chapter 23, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you all. I entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second. The item's been properly moved and seconded. Any initial comments from council?
My questions were answered at our last meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the second reading. Any comments or questions from the public? This is a public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Moving on to the next item. Next item is tab 9, and this is an ordinance of the second reading for an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 30, zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Division 10, B1A, Professional Business Restricted District, Section 30-241, Uses Permitted, amending Article 3, District Regulations, Division 3, B1, Restricted Retail Commercial District, Section 30-256, Uses Permitted, amending Article 3 District Regulations Division 12, B2 Retail Commercial District, Section 30-276, Uses Permitted, amending Article 3 District Regulations Division 23, Planned Urban Neighborhood District, Section 30-396.2 Subareas, amending Article 3 District Regulations Division 24 Business Mixed Use District, Section 30-396.501 Uses Permitted, amending Article 3 District Regulations Division 25 Neighborhood Mixed Use District, Section 30-396.532 Uses Permitted, amending Article 4 Supplemental District Regulations Division 1 Generally, Section 30-397 Permitted Use and Dimensional Standards Tables, amending Article 4 Supplemental District Regulations Division 8 Special Exceptions, Section 30-531 established, all to provide that schools shall be permitted as special exception uses in commercial zoning districts, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council for staff? This is a second reading. Any comments or questions from the public on this item? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on.
Yes, tab 10 was deferred earlier in the meeting. Moving on to tab 11, it's the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Chapter 1.5 Concurrency Management System of the Code of Ordinances by amending Sections 1.5-3 Definitions, Section 1.5-5 Management and Monitoring Program, Section 1.5-6 Adequate Public Facility Review, and Section 1.5-7 Transportation Proportionate Fair Share Mitigation to modify the city's procedures for review of public facilities capacity and certificates of concurrency. Further amending Chapter 30 Zoning Article 2 Administration, Division 2 Procedure for Zoning Amendments, Special Exception Permits, Plan Unit Development Submittals and Variances, etc. Section 30-47 Unified Site Plan Requirements to modify the procedure for extensions of approved site plans, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council for staff? This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public?
Mayor Bell, I just wanted to say
Certainly,
It's going so fast, I'm losing track. I just want to say that to me this is a really good thing because this allows, instead of doing 2 6-month extensions, it allows for 2 12-month extensions. And in today's economic times, developers, it's very difficult, and builders and developers to meet those guidelines. So this is a good thing. This prevents them having to come back and asking again and again, and So I think it's a very good thing. Thank you very much, Sherry, and your department, and James for putting that together.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. This was the direction we got from the mayor and the city manager after meeting in the developers meeting. So,
thank you. Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions from council? Any comments or questions from the public? Close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolutions.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the schedule of fees charged by the City Public Works and Services Department for collection and disposal of solid waste, garbage, trash, garden trash, recycling services, and related service provided by resolutions number R980836, R981159, 2002-10, 2001-0849, 2002-0630, 2003-0867, 2004-09-120, 2006-09-109, and by an R 2007-9119 of the City Council by amending fees to provide for a 2% increase in each fee charged from rates provided on October 1st, 2007, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. I entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? This is a public hearing. Anybody that would like to comment, please come up to the microphone, state your name and your address for the record, and the clock you'll have 3 minutes to state your support or objection. I said support with confidence, by the way.
Mark Finasher.
I reside at 1315 Egret Road, Homestead. As I understand it, some time ago, an increase was adopted, or I should say the mechanism for an increase was adopted by the City Council based on the COLA rate for utilities, and by proposing a 2% increase at this time, together with a possible COLA between 4 and 5%, the real increase will be much greater, not only for refuse collection, which this particular resolution addresses, but also for water and sewer rates. I have some comments that go beyond this that have to do with the tax bill, but it's all kind of related. Will I be allowed to address that at this time or not?
I would like you to restrict your comments to the item. You're more than welcome to come back and address each item as you're welcome to do that.
Very well.
I don't want to confuse or muddle the issues.
I understand. I heard the prayer this morning about how people are hurting in general. I know of the new homes that were built on the east side of Homestead. Over 30% are in foreclosure at this particular point in time. People are hurting with the economic climate of what's going on, and I honestly believe a 6% increase across the board for utilities is excessive at this particular point in time, and I'd like the council to reconsider adopting an increase at all, because the rates will increase automatically due to the COLA that was approved previously. This just adds to the pain. Thank you.
I'd like to hear from the manager, because I think there was some inaccuracies in the statement, so I'd like to hear from the manager.
First of all, I want to correct, the increase is not 6%. You cannot just add 2% and 2% and 2%, call it 6. The increase is 2% for each fund. The other thing, the minimum, I don't like fuzzy math, so...
Excuse me. Everybody will be afforded an opportunity to speak, and we're more than happy to hear everybody speak, but please let's afford the manager and the council the respect that they're due. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Manager, please continue.
Mr. Benasher referred to as the allowed by ordinance. It's not automatic. It cannot be increased without coming back to council, and that's exactly what we are doing now. So the 2% allowed by ordinance in 2002 doesn't allow us automatically to just add 2% a year without coming for a public discussion.
Right.
So that's exactly what we are doing.
Thank you very much. You can't just say it's a 6%. You have 2% on this one, and we have done the calculation so that everybody would have an actual understanding. As I stated at the budget hearing, when I got a phone call and broke it down for the person that called me, when they said, oh, okay, that's what you mean by this 2%. The water, and this is all included, the water, the wastewater, the solid waste disaster, and the stormwater, that total 2% increase equals $2.91 per month. That's that increase. That's what that equals. The 1.9% increase, which we will get to, equals $1.49 per month. Those are the increases that we're referring to. People were assuming it was $25 and $35 for each thing and each thing. So when we explained it to them, when I explained it, it was like, oh, okay, that's not even keeping up with the cost of inflation. That is rock bottom. And let me tell you, this council was so careful, and I mean, each of us met individually with the manager, and I know I asked the manager, let's hold this, maximum. Let's keep it as low as possible. Let's keep it way under as far as we can. And part of the reason why we have the 2% was to keep the city out of financial trouble, which was recommended to the city back in 99-2000, so that the city would not end up in financial trouble like it was back in 99. Mr. Manager.
And Mayor and Council, I also like to add, when I did my budget presentation, I said the cost of living increase was 5.6. That's just for last year. The other thing I want to say, solid waste is, Mr. Benasher is the finance director for Florida City, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. They are fleet-intensive utility, and fuel charges are going up through the roof, and that's their expenses has to be covered. Dade County disposal fees, that's to collect the garbage and take it to the county. It went up in excess of 4% last year for disposal.
For the city.
Yeah, that's
our
correct.
cost, right? Thank you, Mr. Manager. Yes, sir.
My name is David Hinkle. I live at 220 Northeast 12th Avenue in Cocoa Walk. I have a question about this resolution and a couple of three others following it. My understanding from what I got in the mail recently was that not only was there going to be a 2% increase, which I don't have a problem with that, but it was the method of collection. I was of the understanding that it was going to be collected annually instead of every month like it is now with the regular utility bill. My issue is I'd like to see things stay as they are, because it's easier for me to budget for it than hit me with a bunch all at once with 12 months at once. I think that may present some problems. If it amounts to anything $100 or more, it's on a yearly basis, that's going to be a little bit of a pinch, because I've got so many things coming out, and at my work I've got a 40% cut in pay recently. So, with monies I'm able to earn, and I'm just trying to keep the damage to the minimum, so to speak, so I can budget it.
We understand, and we understand that initial sticker shock is tough, because that's the way the county's been doing it forever, and that's the way most municipalities do it. And there is a very good explanation, and it concerns the rental properties and the fact that so many aren't getting paid. I'm going to let the manager explain that for you. But I really do understand that initial sticker shock.
I'm just trying to be able to pay my bills.
If your mortgage is amortized, it's going to be in your monthly bill anyway, but if you're not amortized, like some people are not, then you have to pay that chunk, and that's what people really feel in the pinch.
I'm a simple-minded guy. I mean, everything I do, I like month to month. Here's what we've got going out, because I can look at that instead of, it's like auto insurance is hard to pay for 6 months at a time.
Sure.
We budget that out 3 months at a time. It's a lot easier for us, and the same pattern follows for the rest of things. That's my concern.
I really understand. Mr. Manager?
Mayor, council members, thank you for your comments, very well taken, but I just wanted to know, as I could feel that you are an honest rate payer. You pay your rates monthly, all the time. We had a study done 2 years ago to look at how much revenues we are losing in the city of Homestead, solid waste only, from rental properties. That's when a tenant leaves and we have to send the bill to the landlord and we cannot collect these fees. $380,000 of lost revenues. This is 3 years ago. This is a loss of revenue subsidized by people like you who are paying their rates all the time on time. Therefore, with this new proposal, it's going to be paid regardless by the landlord. We're going to single family first, and we're going to expand it into multifamily and all residential. So our fees will be guaranteed. It will be similar to taxes. You will be entitled to discounts. I know the first time it's going to be very difficult for people, like you said, who are on budget, and like the mayor explained, who do not have an escrow account through their mortgage company. But unfortunately, sometimes people do feel the pain in some cases, but we are trying to do it for the best interest of the honest ratepayers. And that's really the incentive behind it.
Mayor Bill, may I comment?
Also, I know most people do have their mortgage amortized, and so then that means that amount would go into that monthly bill, and it would be just like as if they were paying it, so they're not going to feel the pinch. But I do understand the people that don't have an escrow account and who don't have their mortgage amortized, they are going to feel that pinch. And it is going to be a hit the first year. I recognize that, and it's going to be tough. But the second year, you're going to learn to budget that $40, 40 plus, how much is it, $49 a month or something?
The total for a single family now, because it's some residential is less, but for a single family, what's going on the tax bill is going to be $492.84.
That kind of number.
What you have now, what you are paying for monthly. So it's not a tax increase, it's not a rate increase, it's a shift of collection method.
Yes,
by the way, we have the attorney who is an expert in this field sitting here.
Yes, and it's actually what you're currently paying now. It's just being shifted from the monthly bill that you receive monthly. You're not going to get that bill monthly anymore, and it's going to be put on the tax bill. That guarantees that that amount is going to be paid, because as we do have a problem in this community where we have a lot of renters, and as they leave the community, there's a lot of bills being left to pay, and it's not fair for the taxpayers to have to foot the bill for the people that don't pay. It's not fair to you guys out there. It's not fair to the taxpayers.
So
Sure.
Am I correct in understanding that you're saying that's going to go into the tax bill for my home that I own, not the utility bill?
Right.
So you've restructured it?
Right.
Okay, so it goes,
yes.
Okay, I understand.
Yes. And so is your mortgage amortized?
I pay my mortgage, on a monthly basis, and everything comes out of one bill that I pay.
Then you're not
taxes, insurance, yada, yada, yada.
Well, then instead of coming in your monthly electric bill now, it's going to be on your tax bill, and it's going to be no difference to you.
I'm still budgeted that way, okay.
Yeah,
that's
you're
cool.
still budgeted that way, so it's not going to affect anybody who has an escrow account who's amortized. You're going to simply pay the same amount per month. It's just going to be now in your mortgage instead of on that bill.
Okay.
It's not an additional. It's in place of.
Thank you.
If I may, Mayor Brown, yes, Ms. Waldman, but I wasn't finished yet. Thank you. Please go right ahead.
Sir, if I could address your comment, please. If this had been done in a different way, if you had been given a year to prepare for this to be on your tax bill, I would have supported it. But you are not. Taxes are paid in arrears. Your escrow accounts are probably at their max right now. So that means that people are probably going to have a shortage in their escrow account after your taxes and this bill is paid, because this bill you've been given 2 months notice, and it's going to be on your tax bill in November if it passes tonight.
Okay.
That's my problem. Had you been given a year to adjust to this, to budget for this, to save for this, so that you could send in more money into your escrow accounts, and your escrow accounts would have been cushioned, then I would have voted for this. But it's not that way. So we can say what we want to say, but the people where $500 is a hardship, those are not the people that are going to be paying an early tax bill and getting a 4% reduction. Those are not the people. It's the people like you, it's the people like me, it's the people that's out there, we work every day, and we have a budget. And you don't have time to cushion that budget in 2 months for your tax bill. So that's all I wanted to say to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. May I say something?
Yes, Mr. Manager.
I'm with all due respect, Councilwoman Wadman, when you served in Broward Council, your instruction and Broward Council's instructions was to put this on the tax roll.
Mr. Shamana, it is a... Certainly, and then I'll respond.
We tried 3 times, and it did not work. And for you to say that, we should have given it time, we've been working on it for 3 years.
But you haven't given the people time, and it's a different economic time right now. These are different economic times.
We are trying to help the people. When you're telling me $480,000 are lost, these people who are paid their regular bills honestly and on time, they are subsidizing that for $380,000. And this is a collection method. We are not increasing it. Actually, if you pay in November and get the 4% discount, you are realizing a saving in your.
Of course, if you have that money, you can pay it on time. But most people don't in these economic times.
Any further comments from council? Have we heard you on this issue, Mr. Ben Asher?
I beg your pardon?
We've heard you on this particular issue?
No, you asked me to come back, but it seems to have just surfaced.
Sure.
I'll just add my 2 cents. In the first year, when it appears on a tax bill, the reality is in the first year only, it's a double hit. You have to, even if some people who escrow their mortgage and insurance and taxes, and they don't pay the $500 or so along with the tax bill, the escrow agent, most of the time the mortgage company, will simply give them a choice to either cut them a check for the full amount, because they have advanced that amount on their behalf, or they will allow them to increase their escrow over the course of the year. Well, they'll probably elect to increase the escrow. However, that only pays for the November 1st, 2008 payment on a tax bill. It does nothing to prepare for the following year, so they have to increase their escrow twice, a year in advance, to pay for doing this effective on the November 1st tax bill, and then further increase it so by the time the next November 1st rolls around, there's enough money to cover it. So in the first year, it's a double hit. In the second and each year thereafter, it isn't. But in the first year, it absolutely is a double hit. And this is coming at a time when people are taking less money with their incomes, with expenses going through the roof. I think this is ill-timed. I think that in concept, it's a good idea. Florida City is examining the very same thing. But we would never think to give our residents 2 months' time before enacting it. We're going to give them at least a year if it's determined we're going to do that. And I'm asking you to consider doing the same thing. Give everybody a year to increase their escrows so they don't get hit at this particular window in time. As things change, the economy turns, a new page, things will be better. They can handle it. That's all I wanted to say regarding that.
Thank you, Mr. Ben Asher.
David Suarez, 49 Northwest 17th Street, and I own a title company, and we have quite a few clients that have come in with this issue from last year. They're still dealing with the increase of their taxes last year, and they haven't been able to pay it, and most of them are actually in foreclosure because they haven't been able to make their payment because of the increase. They had a shortage because their escrow was short, so they're exactly like Mr. Ben Asher stated, their payment went up to make up the difference that they had to pay to cover last year, and then now they're having to make up the difference to pay it this year, and now with the increase again this year, it'll put them even further in the hole. And I think that if you're going to implement this for people who are having problems with people that own investment properties, excuse me?
Mr. Suarez, there was not a tax increase last year.
No, but I'm saying most people did because of the sales of the properties having been inflated. A lot of them, the taxes went up, so they did have a shortage last year also. This will cause a shortage this year with your increase.
Last year was one of the biggest decreases.
Right, I understand that, but a lot of people are dealing with that last year with foreclosure, and now you're doing it this year, with the taxes is what I'm saying last year. I'm using last year as an example, the taxes having been increased last year. A lot of the people were in that situation, and that's why they were being foreclosed because they couldn't make the payment. This year, by adding the $492 in the tax bill, their escrow, the bank was not planning on this additional money, so when they do get that tax bill, they're going to have to pay they're going to upfront the money for the customer, but then the customer will have to pay the money back to the bank, and that will cause an increase in their payment, a double increase, because they'll have to pay back the shortage and then the additional money to pay the taxes next year. So, and we've seen that in our office quite a bit with a lot of customers coming in, not being able to make that payment, and then trying to lower their escrow somewhere to be able to keep their home. And I just think that right now is not a good idea to be increasing this or including it in our taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Suarez.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Lobos. Councilwoman Lobos.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. This happened at the last council meeting when we were discussing the 7-cent increase in stormwater. So again, I'm going to repeat myself, and I need a clarification from both the city manager and the city attorney. The vote that is happening here right now, if I vote yes, it means that where are we? Tab 12. Well, your solid waste will increase by 72 cents. If I vote no, it means that it will not increase by 72 cents. The issue that we keep bringing up, and I understand that it's an issue, I hear you on the tax roll. This was an item that was voted on almost 2 months ago. 2 months ago, this council had discussion, and it decided, and I am not going to guess at the vote, but the city clerk, I need a vote, a roll call on that. It passed, and I believe, and I'm trying to recall, it passed unanimously. This entire council voted, had discussion, and voted that we were going to change the process of collecting these fees. So now I need direction here. How do we undo that vote that we took 2 months ago? The vote tonight, what we're hearing about tonight, the difference of 72 cents per month, I hear you on the tax roll. As a matter of fact, I wish I could go back 2 months now. I wish I could redo time so we could have even further discussion. Not that I didn't realize that this was going to happen. I had plenty of discussion at home as to whether this was a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. The advantages were that now that the people that pay on time are not going to be penalized by all of those that run out of town without paying their bill. The disadvantage was that now it's going to be part of your tax roll. Again, I have to be clear on this. The vote that I am taking tonight cannot undo the vote that this council unanimously passed 2 months ago. Let's not make it seem as if we're going to vote on that tonight. It should have been done 2 months ago. Tonight, the only thing I can change, the only vote I can take tonight is whether to increase by 72 cents. That's the only thing that a yes vote or a no vote will do tonight. A no vote will not undo a vote that was taken by this council 2 months ago.
Thank you very much for that, Councilman Lobos. I know that I've yet to find a year that was a good year to do this, to be quite honest. Last year, the state of Florida was hitting us really, really hard with a lot of unfunded mandates, as well as the federal government, as well as the year before. I've never found, it's kind of like waiting for a good year to have a child, or waiting for a good year to do this, or it's always a tight year, and it's a tough year. I recognize what everyone's going through. But Councilman Lobos is very clear, and as the finance chair, she's very specific and actually correct on what she's saying. What we are voting on tonight is this 2% increase. We already took that vote months ago. I think was it more than 2 months ago? Anyway, we already took that vote. But the bottom line is, it's always tough the first year. We know it. I know it. I'm paying it too. Every one of us up here are paying it too. We know it. It's always tough the first year that there's a change made. And I know a lot of people, this change is tough. I recognize that. But sometimes leadership is tough, and making the tough decision is leadership, and that's tough as well. But sometimes you have to do it. You have to make the tough decisions. But what we are talking about tonight, let me be specific. The item that we're talking about right now is a 2% increase on this particular water, wastewater, solid waste, disaster, and stormwater. That's the item that we're talking about. I think there's been some confusion on the item. So I want to make that clear. Now, yes, you have the floor.
Oh, you really have to put the camera on me? Amy Gordy, 220 Northeast 12th Avenue, Lot 135. Well, then, if that's what you're saying, then why didn't we get that in the mail 2 months ago when you voted on it? Because you're going and saying a 72-cent raise, but yet you're not giving me time to come up with $984. I make less than $30,000 a year with the cuts, with gas going up, with food going up. I'm starting a family, and you're telling me now you want to slap me with $984 on my taxes when I can budget what we have? We already pay a power cost adjustment. We're paying for the $52 and $76 for a power cost adjustment. I mean, that's $218 compared to a year ago that was $124. So people have fixed incomes. So if you're saying about 72 cents, then how do we undo what you proposed? Because I didn't get that in the mail 2 months ago. This is my first time being here.
Now you're talking about your utility bill, correct?
Yes, because I got that in the mail. But I never got about you raising us to $984 on our escrow account when I can barely afford what we can now.
Madam Mayor, maybe I could clarify.
We're all over the place.
What's happened is several, and Mr. Ben Asher tried to separate them, but we'll incorporate his comments into the proper public hearing. This particular item just deals with the increase.
The 2% increase.
It does not in any way deal with how that money is collected. There's several items on the agenda which are a little bit later that deal with how this money is going to be collected through the special assessment process. But this particular item, and those people who have spoken, we can incorporate their comments into the public hearing on the other items. But the issue that you're raising dealing with the escrow and those things, it really is a conversation that doesn't really have to do with this item. If you could just hold your comments until a little bit later when we're going to discuss that item, because this just deals with the 2% increase in solid waste fees. That's it.
It's just like the hurricane fee. We got it on our bill one day and no one told us anything.
Madam Mayor, we actually did. We spoke about that $1 a month for a lot.
I understand that, but we never got anything in the mail. I've only been here a few years, but if we don't get in the mail, all of a sudden you slap this for 2%, and then now I'm hearing this now, and we didn't know about it 2 months ago. If I would have known about it 2 months ago, I would have came 2 months ago and raised. Yeah, well, that's not what I want to say. But, I'm barely struggling now. I have a child. Times are tough. Everybody's tough. Everybody has a fixed income. We have 3 banks that just went upside belly up this morning.
It's coming up again tonight.
And if McCain gets it...
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Manager, any comment?
Yeah, again, when we're mixing apples and oranges. Now we're talking about the 2% increase, but since we're talking also about the tax bill, I just want to say something. When we were looking at incorporating this and what's the right time to do it, actually, in our view, it was the perfect time to do it, because this is a year where everybody is getting another $25,000 of homestead exemption, and it's already. Please let me finish. It's already money being collected in their escrow account, and it was going to be the smoothest transition instead of adding it later. So they may realize it just within the $25,000, and next year's...
Excuse me. Please, we have somebody speaking. Yes, Mr. Manager.
Yeah, Mayor, I think I'm done with my comments.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Cesar Barzana, 1535 Northeast 35th Avenue, Malibu Bay. You mentioned that there's never a good time to raise taxes. This morning, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. Merrill Lynch was taken over by Bank of America, losing 80% of its value. My taxes that last year, from last year to this year, are going up $1,400. Okay? And then now you are asking for an additional $500.
No, it's not an additional.
Hold on a second. It is already on the bill, on the utility bill. My question is that it's very easy when somebody doesn't pay the bill to clean it off and say, you know what, we're going to put it in the taxes and let the taxes pay for it. And if they don't pay for that, they lose their property. It's as simple as that. But the problem is that we're in a stage right now in our economy that it doesn't warrant any of this. And here we are all these people are here, me too, stressed every single day making our payments, and now you're wanting us to shift dollars from one place to the other, where this gentleman is saying that we're going to be twice the jeopardy in the first year. It makes no sense whatsoever for us to be talking about a 2% increase. None whatsoever.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ben Asher, you spoke twice on this.
Very last comment, I promise, until the next item.
Yeah, okay.
In Florida City, we raise utility rates as necessary, much like Homestead and other communities. But one thing we do, and what I'd like to ask is if it has been done in Homestead, is simply this. Administratively, has everything been done, reviewed and analyzed to save money, to shore up what needs to be shored up administratively before asking taxpayers for a raise?
Mr. Ben Asher, were you at our budget hearing that we just had for 1 hour? We discussed a lot of those issues at the budget hearing that we just had. And we have another budget hearing coming up, by the way. That was the first one. But we absolutely discussed those issues. And we are, let me tell you, we have totally condensed many positions. We've laid off, we're actually laid off 3 people. We're going to hire 1 to replace the 3 in 1 department. As people leave, we're only hiring essential hiring. We have trimmed. We are holding the rollback rate to last year's rollback rate with the operating budget. We're operating on the same budget that we did last year. We are working so hard.
But that's not germane to my question, Mayor.
Excuse me. I believe it is germane to your question because you specifically stated, are we doing everything possible? And the answer to that is yes. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, if we continue to operate on a $380,000 deficit, the other alternative is how much are we going to have to increase their bill every month if we continued that? Because we cannot continue operating on that kind of deficit. And the deficit most likely is going to grow year to year as the city has the problems that the economic times have brought upon us. So we're trying to hold the rates that we're charged, am I correct? And by doing this, by getting the money up front. Because if we don't get the money up front and we continue with that deficit, the rates are going to have to go up, I would say, can you give me any kind of number? 15, 20, 25% to continue the level of service that we're given?
Vice Mayor, you're absolutely correct. If we do not implement the proper procedure to collect the revenues due to the city of Homestead, it's going to be painful later because you're just going to have, we're talking about economic hardship. You're going to have people who are not going to be paying their bills more. You know, I hear about Lehman Brothers, I hear about people having economic problems. That's also a utility, and the utility is going to have economic problems if people are not going to be paying their bills. I could tell from the comments of everybody who came to the podium here, these are honest rate payers. They pay their payments on time. Otherwise, if they didn't care, they will not show up because they're not paying. But that's the problem we have with the landlords who have properties in the city of Homestead. They give it to tenants, and they just practically don't care what happens to their property. And that's where we are losing $380,000. And I just want to go back to the comment of Mr. Ben Asher. You know, coming from a colleague, to ask me if we are doing everything, frankly speaking, is very insulting. I don't know how we do business in the city of Florida. The city, I assume, do it just like any other city. But no, I'm not making it personal. But for you to come there,
Mr. Ben Asher, you will restrict your comments to the microphone, and please stay seated, unless you're going to come to the microphone. And I think you've been up there 4 times.
When you come and question our judgment, I did a budget presentation. And you could look at everybody doing business here in the city of Homestead. You live in Homestead, and to just come there and say, Mr. Manager, it's like practically I'm just going around. I want to skim people of their money. Come on, just be professional and let's be on the same board.
Mayor,
Mr. Weiss.
I'm wondering if it would be of benefit.
It would.
The procedure that we're using is a statutory procedure that is quite complicated and is actually just taken us a long time to get here. It's such a specialized area that we actually hired outside counsel from Tallahassee to help us implement this, and that's Heather Espinosa. And I wondered whether the council would like her just to spend a little time to sort of go through the chronology of how we got here, because the woman got up and was talking about notice and so forth, and I wonder whether you think it would be worthwhile to spend a little time to go through
I
that.
do, and I think that if people saw that the effort that the city has made to notice and notify everybody, I think that would be very helpful. So I'd like to hear from the attorney.
Can you do that, please?
Good evening. My name is Heather Encinosa. I can run briefly through the procedure. If anyone has any questions at any time, please feel free to stop me.
I'm particularly interested in the public notice and the...
Sure. There is a very strict statutory procedure that you have to follow in order to use the tax bill collection method for collecting special assessments, such as is being proposed here. In fact, before January 1 of 2008, or if you had an exception from the constitutional officers, that could have been pushed to March 1 of 2008. But way back when, a resolution of intent was adopted by the city. That resolution of intent was not advertised just once. It was advertised 4 different times for 4 consecutive weeks in the newspaper of general circulation, telling the public that the city intended to use the tax bill coming up in November of 08 to collect these assessments. After that document, that resolution was adopted in July, there was first reading of a procedural ordinance. There was obviously a 10-day notice for second reading, which was held on August 4th. On August 12th, you adopted 2 initial assessment resolutions, one for the solid waste program and one for the stormwater program. Both of those resolutions provided for the second stage of notice. The first stage of notice is your resolution of intent. The second stage of notice was noticing this meeting here tonight. This meeting tonight was noticed in a newspaper ad, and also a first-class mail notice was sent to every affected property owner, not only telling them when this public hearing was, but exactly what they would be paying for their property. There isn't any other taxing or revenue source that I know of in the state that provides as much notice to the property owners before it is adopted. It's really an extraordinary process. So those notices went out by August 21st, telling people what they would pay and telling them that if they had any objections or questions, they could either call city staff in the interim or come to this meeting tonight.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Bell.
Yes, Councilwoman Lobos, and then our next speaker.
I have a question to you, Mayor Bell.
Councilwoman Lobos.
Mr. Weiss, may you just explain to the council, please, for clarification, I have here, the city clerk has handed me resolution number R2008-08-102, which is the vote in August where we set up the procedure to charge these utilities onto the tax roll. Tab 15 and 16 tonight is coming before us to ask council for approval to go ahead and do this. So can you explain what the difference is, and perhaps we can move this along and have this discussion, which would be more fruitful under tab 15 and 16. I have to tell you, not only for myself, but what I've seen from this council, we are very responsive to the people. If this is really something that we can do, we will go ahead and fix it or do whatever it is that we can to alleviate whatever comments we have here tonight. Right now, I think that it would be beneficial if we just continue to vote on tab 12 so that we can get down to tab 15 and 16 so that we can have a very productive discussion on the assessment of the tax roll.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Lobos. And you know, there are times like this when we are trying to be very patient and let everybody speak. But let's let this next woman speak who's been waiting patiently, and then Councilwoman Waldman.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Diaz. I live at 790 Northwest 9th Court in Homestead. I also pay my bills on time. I work, you know, just like everyone else, from paycheck to paycheck. I'm a single-family home. Nobody pays me ahead of time for my work that they know that I'm going to do. I'm sorry that other people have not paid their bills. It has been stated that we're doing this so that we don't go deeper in the hole. I know you have looked at things as you've stated, but my question is, perhaps some of the people that do rent out properties should be paying this ahead of time. If that's the problem, where the renters default and the landlords aren't keeping up with what they need to do. We've also had a problem in our residential single-family home area where there are multiple people there, multiple families. That has also changed our neighborhood. We've taken a big loss in the amount of people that there's foreclosures right down the street, which has dropped my property values. So the point being is that for me to pay ahead of time, a full amount, a year ahead of time, would be difficult and put a strain on my finances. I do want the city to stay afloat. I've been here since 1978. But I also know that we need to be represented, the people, and we can't afford this extra money at this time, and most of us. There probably are some that can, and along the lines, I know we're going to get to the property, you know, as far as our taxes, but I don't subscribe to the local paper, only because I find I don't have a lot of time to read it a lot of times. The other thing is, I believe that I should be notified by mail when there's something this important that's going to change, you know, my neighborhood or also our livelihood. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very kindly. Councilwoman Waldman, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. I just want to make one comment, and Ms. Levis, I appreciate what you said, but at the same time, it was only until these notices were sent out that the citizens of the city of Homestead realized what an impact, including myself. And I believe, Mr. Shahada, you even said that Ms. Sierra brought her tax bill to you during one of the workshop meetings. And it was a hit, and that's what we're supposed to be, ma'am, is a voice of the people. So it's my understanding, Mr. City Attorney, that yes, we do have the power to change this vote tonight. If this is voted down, we do have that power, and we can do it. So I just wanted to put that on the record. It has changed. Everything has changed.
Madam Mayor, if I could just be stronger than I was earlier. These people all need to be heard on the issue of how we're collecting these taxes and whether you want to do that or not.
That's what I was just going to say, Mr. Vice.
But it really is not making a good public record for us to have a record of the public conversation. These comments dealing with the method of collection and the big issue really needs to go. And so I'm going to urge the speakers, not in any negative way, but in the most respectful way, to say that if you have a comment on the fact that this is going to be collected on the tax bill and all of that, those comments are later. If you have a comment on the increase, that's the appropriate comment to be made now, and those are certainly welcome at this point.
My name is Squire Newman, 344 Northwest 17th Court, and this is about this increase. What is this increase? You're saying it's 2% for storm drain? Don't we have storm drains already?
Storm water.
We've already paid for our storm drains, and if we build new storm drains in these new neighborhoods, they pay assessment values on the properties. This is a 2% increase on this, but there's a hurricane fund, isn't it?
What we're talking about right now, sir,
yes,
is water, waste.
Where do these monies go?
It's water, wastewater,
Right.
solid waste disaster, that's the $1, and then the stormwater. That's the 2% increase that we're referring to right now.
Right.
That amount will be about $2.90 a month.
This-
That's
this
what
pa-
we're talking about
But
right
that's
now.
what I'm saying. What does this money go for? What is a hurricane fund?
This particular item is specifically the solid waste, the super can deposit, and the hurricane recovery fee. That's this particular agenda item. The next one deals with water and sewer.
All right, what is this deal about hurricane fund? What is a hurricane fund?
The hurricane fund is a fee we collect monthly. It's practically $1 a month, and we put it in a restricted account when we have a hurricane, and we have to come up with matching funds. Normally, if it's declared federal disaster, the federal government pays 75%. The state pays 12.5%, and we have a local match of 12.5%. Traditionally came from solid waste, and that's the fund we're talking about.
This hurricane
That's to practically clean your streets and
FEMA,
and stuff.
FEMA pays that. You just said 75%, but I don't believe FEMA only pays 75%. But anyway, you're raising this hurricane fund is what it is.
The hurricane fund is $1 now. It's existing.
And you're going to
and
raise
it's going to be $1.02, so we're increasing it by 2 cents.
Right. And that's a slush fund, because you don't even know what you spend it on. It's illegal to have a slush fund.
It's not a slush fund.
Sure, it's a slush fund.
This is just something...
They just threw it out in the state of Washington. It's a slush fund. You put the money aside, you don't know what you're... Do you know what you're going to spend it on? You're holding on to this money somewhere, right? It's not being spent.
Of course we do.
You don't have anything designated for this money.
Yes, this money is held in a restricted fund to be used for hurricane recovery. It is to be used for cleaning the streets and for matching FEMA the FEMA funds that we get.
So you
That's what
just
it's
said
used
it
for.
2 or 3 different things. It's a fund is one thing.
It's put in a separate budgeted fund. It sits there until we need it.
do all of these things. It's embarrassing. Just the same thing with raising our taxes too.
Yes, sir.
You know it all. It's just like it.
Yes, sir. We're going to address the 2%?
My name is Salvador Munoz. I live in 1675 Northeast 35 Avenue. And I know completely sure what this English for the 2%, and the other special saving for $452 that what you sent in the first letter. Because the economy right now is low, the jobs low, and the people's lost the job. A lot of people go to the foreclosure, and right now they just pay the bill by the line. We can't pay more. My mortgage this year is going up $525. We can handle this. Like we go, you raise it up. This is not only the people just going for a project. Thousands and more people go and lose the house, including me. And I think this is not the time to go out and raise it up.
Thank you,
This
sir.
is what I want to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Honorable Mayor, City Council Member, Mr. City Manager, guests here. My name is Peter Prasad. I reside, my home is out of the city of Homestead in Dade County, but I have a professional building in downtown Homestead. And I got this notice without a date. The notice says here that it has to do with this 2%, but it wasn't even dated. You know? I don't have a problem. I love the city. I know you all. The city has always been good to me and good to the citizens of this city here. As a business owner in Main Street, downtown Homestead, 2% doesn't mean that much. But for commercial businesses, I would like if the city attorney or our city manager explained to me how would this affect businesses in the city. How would it be treated in the tax roll, or how would it be treated accounting-wise for us to budget for this, because downtown Homestead is a nightmare these days. I have lost prominent tenants, and many of them I signed leases on 4 and 5 year fixed leases. My utility bill, that is from garbage to electricity alone went up, the fuel adjustment is 40%. And that's a big amount. I tried to ask some of the tenants that if I can ask them to consider if they can help pay for it. They said, no, we have a fixed lease. You're stuck, and I'm stuck. 2% doesn't mean if a single family home, it's hard for them. But with business owner losing big tenants, paying for the rent, this can be passed on to them. I have no problem with it, except to know that how would I be treated? This would be added to my taxes for a commercial building, as we would plan to do with the residential.
Thank you for the question. Mr. Manager.
The 2% increase in rates, it will definitely affect you, but nothing changes in the way we bill you. You will receive monthly bills as commercial.
Okay.
It's only for single-family homes. We are doing it this way now, and the plan is to go also to multi-residential in the future. We are just doing exactly what the county and City of Miami, many other entities are doing. So for commercial, it's very difficult, even though the ordinances we pass allow us to do something in the future, but I can tell you it becomes like a nightmare because the demand for commercial is not fixed. You may sometimes need a 4 cubic yard container, sometimes you may need 10, so how to bill it is an issue. So for commercial, we really have no plans to have it on the tax bill for many years.
Thank you. I don't want to compare my city of Homestead to South Miami or Coral Gables or any other city. In my opinion, in my own experience, we have the best city.
Thank you.
And we want to keep it like that. But if it affects the majority of our citizens, and if there's any consideration that you all can give tonight for a waiver of this on this community, I implore that you consider that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Make it quick. I'm going to call the question on this item, especially since you've spoken on this issue.
Wait, but
Go ahead.
Okay, Amy Gordy again. Now, you said it's about stormwater. Well, according to the thing that we got in the mail, we get $2,990, I'm terrible with math, $418 from stormwater assessment fees. And then it says, improvises surface to include the rooftop patios, driveways, parking lots, and similar areas for the stormwater service assessment rate for $40.44 per single home. Well, so you're going to come and redo my driveway and my patio? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what it says in the paper. And I don't read the newspaper. I'm sorry. I have a child and I'm attempting to have another one. So I just use it for...
We're talking about what's an equivalent unit. What's a residential unit. When you have commercial...
But it doesn't say commercial.
I'm just trying to explain it to you in simple layman's terms. You're talking about single-family home, correct?
Correct, but then it says...
In your case, you don't have to worry about the driveways, you don't have to worry about the roof. It's single-family homes is a fixed fee. When you see that, because that's also going to commercial properties. For example, you look at the shopping center across the street. We don't charge them just like we charge you. We look at single-family home in the code. It's defined about 2,000 square feet of previous services. We look at Publix, for example. They have 6,000 square feet. We divide 6,000 by 2,000. They pay 3 times the amount of fees.
So if we don't have a hurricane, since we haven't had one, it's been pretty boring. If we don't have a hurricane, what happens to that money? Does it go back to the community? Where does it go? Just sit there and we just wait for another hurricane? Is that what you're saying? Because if we're getting almost $300,000 now, but then what you're saying, but then I see about residential dwellings, that's kind of a...
Actually, it's not $300,000. We collected about less than $10,000 a month, so that equates to $120,000. It's been implemented for less than a year, I think, now.
So this is wrong?
But no, that's not wrong. This is just catch-all, the attorney who prepared is sitting here, but it's not wrong. We may not understand it, but it's not wrong.
Yeah, but I'm just reading what you're sending, and it's just like the hurricane fee.
You're not even giving me the opportunity to explain. I don't know how you're saying what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I explained to you what's a dwelling unit, I explained to you what's rooftop and what's driveways.
Right.
In your case, you are a single family home, you pay one fee, regardless of how much driveways and how much roof you have. That applies to commercial. When it goes to commercial, that becomes very important to them to know that's the way we do the calculations, because now we have to convert their previous services that consists of roof, driveways, parking lots, sidewalks into how many single family homes this equates to, and multiply it by the fee. That's when it comes to stormwater. Hurricane recovery fee, when you look at how much it costs the city of Homestead, when we had the hurricane, the two hurricanes, where is Jan? Jan, if you can come close to. Is she here?
She stepped up.
It cost the solid waste department $2.5 million to be able to pay for city of Homestead's share of debris, taking debris and cleaning the city. So it takes a long time for $120,000 to accumulate in that account. And say, for example, I hope it goes from your mouth to God's ears that we don't have any disasters for the next several years, and we have enough money in that account. We definitely are going to stop collecting more money, because if we have enough money there to position us to deal with a disaster, there is no need to collect more money.
So how much is in there now?
And I can tell you, if you've been living in the city of Homestead for a long time, you know that we reduced your sewer rates about 2 years ago by $6.77, because that was a fee related to bonds, and when we retired the bonds, we immediately passed the saving to you.
So how much do we have in there now? As a community, how much do we have in the hurricane fund?
I don't really have the account, but I can tell you it's less than $120,000, because we just started this less than a year ago. It's less than $120,000.
Right, because she said that you mailed something, and I didn't get that.
Of course, what are the alternatives? The alternative will be we are hit by a hurricane and it's $2 million, and then we have to go for a rate shock, what they call it, when I come to council and say, let's increase solid waste rates by 20%, and then you have to pay it then. We're trying to position you for the best position financially.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing on this item.
I have one question, please. And that is that you're mentioning about the fact of the hurricane fund. But we've had one hurricane here that I know of, which was Andrew.
Wilma and Katrina.
Katrina, but I don't think the damage was that severe.
We will
Okay?
absolutely.
Hold on a second. But you're saying that we're going to be collecting this money. If it's going to be only for, like you mentioned, 3 or 4 or 5 years, then it should stipulate that on the program, so that people know that there's a dead end to this, not that it continues on forever. The other part that I'm going to say is that...
Wait a minute. You cannot predict whether you're going to get a hurricane. This is $1 per month. That is the responsible thing, to put that money away in case we have another hurricane, to take care of the disaster and take care of the cleanup. And the Chrome Avenue was underwater. I don't know if you were here. About 30% of the roofs in the city of Homestead had to be replaced. No damage? I mean, we went in the hole on this. It's irresponsible.
Does the federal government pay for any of this?
It's irresponsible to not. They pay 75%, but we're on the hook for a good part of that. And our portion could be $1 million, it could be $2 million, it could be $3 million. So it's the responsible thing to get $1 per month, which is $12 per year, put it away for that rainy day, God forbid, that hurricane rainy day, put it away so that we have the sources, the resources to take care of that issue.
So how did we do with Hurricane Andrew when we didn't have this fund?
That's why we're doing the fund.
But that was 20 years ago.
Okay, so in other words, if if something wasn't done properly before, we should continue
I'm just saying that, again, we're going into semantics. We're charging people more and more dollars in the sense that, yes, it is needed, but no, we can't afford it. And the bottom line is that in my home, I have set amount of income that I bring in. I'd love to have a million other things in my house that I don't have, but I don't have that expendable income. It's very easy for the government, when they don't have the funds, to put a tax on the people.
But again, Mayor, we're talking about 2%.
I know.
It's not a question of 2%. It's 2% here, 1% there. We're being nickel and dimed here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm calling the question on this item. The public hearing on this item is closed. We are specifically referring to, let's reread this one item that we're referring to.
This is I'll summarize. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the schedule of fees charged by the City Public Works and Services Department for collection and disposal of solid waste, garbage, trash, garden trash, recycling, and related services. That's what it is.
Thank you. And Mr. Manager, please tell the residents how much this 2% on this item is going to cost them, because that's what people understand as real dollars.
Mayor and council members, for all the services the city attorney read in the resolution or the ordinance, it's 72 cents per month. 72
cents per month on this item. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
No.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
The resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing increase in the latest rates, fees, and charges imposed by the city pursuant to Chapter 28 of the City Code concerning or is related to water and sewer services, as authorized by City Code Section 28-13B, providing for confirmation of 2% increase in rates, fees, charges, providing for saving clause, providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
The item has been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? I think this, I will open the public hearing again, but I think the public hearing on this item has also been fairly exhaustive, but the public hearing is open on this item too.
Could they just reiterate what the 2% equals to here per household,
please? Explain what
please?
the 2% increase equals.
How many dollars, cents?
Mayor, council members, for the water, on average residential consumption, it's 34 cents per month. Wastewater, average residential consumption is 78 cents per month.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, Mayor, was that residential is 34 cents a month?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Average consumption.
Tthank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't want to mention, Mayor, about water and sewer, that this is the more you use, the more you pay. So practically, if you conserve water, electric, and all that stuff, you pay less. So, solid waste is an assessment. You have to pay it regardless. For the rest of the enterprise services, water, sewer, electric, it's the more you consume, the more you pay. So it's a consumer choice practically.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further comments or questions from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
No.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a transportation proportionate fair share agreement between the City of Homestead and Logan Investment Group, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second. The item's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council, for staff, or any members? It's a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public on tab 14? Close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item.
It's a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida relating to collection and disposal of solid waste and recyclable materials in the City of Homestead, Florida, establishing the rate of assessment, posing solid waste service assessments against assessed property located within the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the assessment roll, confirming the initial assessment, resolution, and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded.
Mayor
Councilwoman Lobos?
Okay, now we're under the discussion of putting this on the tax roll, assessing it onto the tax roll. I had asked the city attorney for clarification. I have the resolution here, Mr. Weiss. Can you just, for the records, clarify what it is, tab 15 and 16, and how it relates to resolution R2008-08?
Okay, as Heather outlined, there is a very specific state procedure required under the Florida statutes for implementing a special assessment. And the steps that we followed set forth the framework, and this is the actual resolution adopting the special assessments and confirming the initial assessment resolution that you passed some time ago. So this is the actual implementation step.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Mayor Bell, if I can continue?
Yes, please.
Excuse me, let me just interrupt you for a second. I'd like to incorporate into the record of this hearing, some of the residents spoke dealing with this issue. Sheila, if we could incorporate into the public hearing for this item the comments, the relevant comments that many of the citizens made concerning this issue, so that they don't need to repeat themselves.
No problem.
Thank you. The item's been moved and seconded. Any comments, any further comments from council? Ms. Lobos, continue.
Yes, Mayor Bell.
And Mr. Weissman afterwards.
And I'm going to explain how I'm going to vote right now. And I don't know how many meetings you've attended. I don't know if this is your first meeting here. Very rarely, as a councilwoman here, I don't choose to do the popular thing. If there's a big group of people here and we've done our homework and I believe that it's the right thing to do, I still vote the way that the homework dictates that it's the right thing to do for the city. But I have to tell you that tonight, not only tonight, but we've heard phone calls and citizens, and as a matter of fact, my mom at home, we've had several discussions on this. And this is the part where we implement it. And I wanted clarification from the city attorney to understand how this would affect the resolution that we heard 2 months ago. I believe at this time, council, that it is appropriate that we take a look at this a second time, that we perhaps consider that the shortness of time is what caused the shock here. It's why we have as many negative feedback, misunderstandings, not really understanding how the process was done. So I would move, and it's never about being right, it's never about standing up here saying as a councilwoman, this is how I think and this is how I'm going to do it. I've heard you tonight. I've heard you many times throughout the past couple of weeks, and I think right now that it's appropriate that we move to deny tab 15, and that perhaps, Mr. City Manager, that in the future, once we looked at this, Mr. Mark Benasher, if he's still here, oh, there he is, okay, that perhaps we look at doing it almost a year ahead of time so that we have plenty of time for discussion so that it doesn't get muddled with other stuff like it did for the past couple of council meetings, and that's what I have to say tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lobos. 1 second. I think we have a motion on the floor. There has been a motion on the floor. I would appreciate a second on the motion.
Second.
I will second. Thank you. I'd like to comment on that. Councilwoman Lobos, I also was thinking along the same lines, and sometimes, and as we stated earlier, we needed to do those small increases. And by the way, when I was saying $2 and I have to correct myself, the math was wrong on this paper. It wasn't $2.91, it was total of all of them, it was $1.93. There was a little math error here. But I wanted to say something. Leadership is making the hard decisions, it is. But one of the reasons why we do these small 2% increases is to prevent the sticker shock, so that you aren't suddenly getting a 10% or a 15% increase. That's the whole idea of these small increases. So that being said, so to prevent that sticker shock, that's why I'm going to support Councilwoman Lobos's motion to go ahead and send this to next year. So this way, people will have time to prepare. And you know what? I heard I don't read the paper, I don't read the paper, I don't read the paper. So Maybe we need to do a better job noticing you. Maybe we need to do a better job notifying you guys so that you'll know. So begin putting the money away now so that next year, when you get your tax bill next year, that you will be prepared, because this is something that we are going to have to do. We're going to have to do this. And what we were doing was we were phasing this and it's a program that we have been talking about for years. And so I'm sorry that you guys didn't hear that. But while these items that we just passed were very necessary, I do think it's wise to go ahead and vote this down, deny this. We'll have to get the county to reissue the tax bills, which we can handle that as long as the resolution has been cleared up with the attorney. But also, this is a decision I think we need to make. And as we stated earlier, yeah, leadership does dictate you make the hard decisions, but it also dictates that you make the right decisions. And people are suffering, and there is never a really good time to do that. That's why the City of Homestead has held the taxes down so low. So I would go ahead and agree with Ms. Lobos's and Ms. Nazi Sierra seconded, and let's go ahead and let's kill this item and let's move it so that next year every taxpayer is prepared. So every taxpayer in this room is going to be prepared for next year. So let's get the word out now so that next year that everybody's going to be prepared. And so the sticker shock that we work so hard to prevent, everything we worked hard to prevent, you guys were shocked, and that's the bottom line. I've explained it to many people, and they're like, oh, okay, it's going to go on my escrow, and they adjust it. But I do understand. It's tough times. I totally understand this. So I would totally concur with the motion, and thank you for making that. I'm glad you did. Vice Mayor, you've been waiting patiently.
Just one quick thing, so that we can clarify why we were trying to do this, Mr. Manager. Could you explain to the people with the deficit, if we're able to collect that deficit, what we could do with their rates and possibly in the future where, looking into your crystal ball, what this could do for the city and for them in the long run. But I do agree with Ms. Lobos's motion tonight too. But can you explain to everybody in the audience and to us again, what this, if we're able to collect this money, what it could do for everybody in the city? And that's why we're looking at this alternative.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, if we are able to collect that money that is considered lost revenues, when we look at 2% increase, is generating, I think, $87,000, 2% increase. Can you imagine if we are able to collect that $380,000? That's if we implement the program in totally for all residential. Remember, we are only doing single-family homes. But that definitely will translate into rate cut for the ratepayers in the future. But now, since we are postponing it one more year, practically that lost revenue is going to be a lost revenue until this goes in the tax bill. And I know the lady over there mentioned something. Why can't you collect from these people up front? Unfortunately, we cannot discriminate within the same class. So if we're going to treat people, we treat them all equally. Unfortunately, it's not like a business where you could say you pay up front, you have bad credit, and that person, we have to treat everybody equally. I know in terms of business sense, it makes so much sense, but unfortunately, we cannot implement it.
But that was a very thoughtful comment. I appreciate it. So everybody, we need to get, there's going to be a vote on this. We're going to go ahead and call the vote. Mayor, thank you very much. And
Mayor, I have a comment too.
And Mr. McCormick, Ms. Waldman, Mr. McCormick, who was first?
Go ahead, you.
You went? Okay. You may not want me to. I think that's what I've been saying since we started this debate, is that had it been a year from now and people had time to plan, then I would have been for it. So thank you, Ms. Lobos, for hearing me. Thank you, because that's what I've been, I feel like I've been kind of by myself up here saying this for the last, half hour, 35 minutes, but thank you very much for hearing me. And Mr. Shahada, I understand filibustering, I understand debate, but I just didn't appreciate the comment that you made to me. Like I said before in the very beginning, today is today, yesterday was yesterday. It's a different economic time, so I hope you understand my feelings. I'm going to try to understand yours, and we'll talk later, okay? But I just wanted you to understand, too, that the people, it's the people that we have to hear, the people. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember McCormick? Mr. Shahada.
Councilwoman Waldman, I'm not trying to be rude or I'm trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to say what the record is all about. You know, I'm a city manager here. It's my job to make sure the city is going to be in law and going to bring good business decisions to you. And you are sitting here and you instruct me to say there is no rate increase. Promise you I will follow your instructions. You don't want it to be in the tax bill. I said it many times kiddingly, your wish is my command. Promise you it will be implemented.
Mr. Shahada,
I will follow your direction.
I appreciate your comments, but at the same time, the things that happened a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it's different now. That's all I ask you to do. That's all I'm asking is that you give me that consideration, and we'll talk later. Thank you.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
Can I make a comment? I don't feel your pain, but we all feel...
Excuse me, Mr. McCormick.
I'm sorry.
And then you can, wait 1 second. Yes, Mr.
Yes, my comment is that all the council members are residents of the city of Homestead, and the same exact pain or problems that you have existing in paying taxes and paying bills, we all suffer those same things within the city of Homestead, and we have an obligation to do what's best for the community. And we're all looking at the price of $2.91. Now we find that it's even cheaper than $2.91. It's $1.90-something per month. That's really not a lot of money, but I think the biggest problem was what we already established is the short notice, and you were paying that same amount of money or you're paying the money broke down per month, and then you had to do it again when your tax bill rolled around in November. That ended up being $490-something plus you paid it the previous year already, so it ended up being double. So we all understand that, and now we're going to the drawing board to try to figure out ways we can get the money that is due to the city of Homestead by people that were not paying it. So we all understand the whole situation at hand, but we have an obligation to take care of the community first. And doing that, we're taking care of ourselves also because we are residents of the city of Homestead. So in no way, shape, or form we're going to do anything to you that we don't have done to ourselves. So once we saw what the problem was, Ms. Lobo made a motion that we can go in and correct it and fix it. Now, my question is, the money that they pay per month, when will it come off the bill so they can get ready to pay it for the next tax roll?
They're going to start preparing now. Start preparing right now.
Mayor, I would suggest that we send out a letter to all the residents explaining why we're doing this, and maybe they can contact their mortgage brokers and start putting away a little bit extra for next year, because it looks like next year we might vote on this again, and we'll just prepare the residents for this. Do a couple of mailings per, maybe 2 or 3.
That's how I got it. Thank you, Councilman Nelson.
Just quick information, Mayor and Council. Like Heather mentioned earlier, it's so much regulated, the steps you have to take, it's almost impossible to keep up with. So we're definitely going to be consulting Heather and our attorneys what are the steps we can do and what are the things we need to do. Because it's very regulated industry and it's, whatever we do, we'll keep you informed.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. And I think we can begin talking about it, as we're doing this and preparing and start talking about it 6 months out again. 6 months out, start talking about that. We're going to be putting this on your tax bill, so be prepared, and let everybody start talking to the escrow agents now. Mr. Vice Mayor, I know you're waiting patiently again, and then we have...
And I don't know if we can do this on the motion. Could we make this motion so that it would be effective for next year's tax bill, so people would know that we're serious about this and that they need to start planning ahead?
I think you're better off to vote this down, and then you can pass a resolution at your next meeting, expressing your intent to do this, and then we have to. But Heather, do you have a feeling?
Because I know if we come back, and my feeling is if we come back next June, July, and do the vote again, next September we're going to have 100 new people sitting here with the same argument, but we'll have 100 educated people. Hopefully they'll go out and spread the word for it. But I think if we can do it, where we can pass this tonight, where next year it's going to take effect.
I don't think the statutory procedure is so strict.
Just a thought.
Under state law, you can only adopt an assessment roll after January 1. So as soon as you desire it after January 1 of 2009, you could take this matter up again, but...
We have to go through all the noticing then, right? So we would need to start noticing now if we wanted to vote on this in January, correct?
You'd have a 20-day notice requirement. Again, you'd be sending out first-class mail notices to every affected property owner, informing them of the following year's rate and the public hearing date, which could be any time between January 1 and September 15th of next year.
Okay, thank you. Just heads up.
let me have this one speak.
When I got my electricity hooked up, they made me pay $300 down. So why not try to think or come up with a solution that when people go to rent, you charge them $150 down or $300 down. I don't know where you're saying that they don't, but I had to put $300 down. I didn't get it back for 2 years because I was late one time. So when you're late, you know, so maybe that you could suggest or maybe come up with another thing so to alleviate the problem by maybe charging people $300 or something, because my money was put in that account and I just got it recently and it was money I wasn't expecting. So maybe something could come up, or you could come up with some type of form to charge people when they do. We got a lot of renters. We have a lot of empty houses. You know, I know something needs to be done, but
we definitely we take any suggestion, but I think solid waste is like any other utility. When you apply for solid waste service, there is also a deposit required. But after
because it is on one bill.
Yeah, sure. After tonight's discussion, we have to look for other ways, because frankly speaking, when we go through January with the timeline requirements and everything, like the Vice Mayor said, it may put us back at the same time. It may put us back at the same time frame for next year. But you know, we're going to be sending notices what we legally can do to notify customers of what's coming.
Thank you. Yes, sir, and then we're going to close the public hearing after you.
My name is Gary Dufek, and I own rental units in Homestead. One thing I would like for you to take into consideration next year when you bring this issue back up again is the fact that we all know that the vast majority of Homestead is rental units. And right now, if you drive around in the rental areas, you'll see the biggest amount of vacancies you've ever seen. When you go ahead and take this off of the tenants and put it on the property owners, you're collecting a tax for something you're not providing. When you face it vacant, you're going to be charging for garbage service on the taxes that you're not going to be providing. You'll be charging for water and sewers that you're not providing, and that's the thing that I have a concern with. And there should be some kind of mechanism in place that would prevent that from happening, because it'd be bad enough when the property is vacant that you're not getting any income, but then to turn around and pay for services that you're not being provided is a double whammy.
Yeah, I'm going to have the manager explain that to you.
Again, water and sewer and stormwater is an assessment. Right. If you live in Dade County, regardless if you have somebody living there or not living there, you have to pay it. The garbage truck will pass in front of the entity every single morning. There's a pickup. They have pickup twice a week. They will come in front of your property. You have your can out or you don't have it out, they're going to be passing in front of your property to provide you the service. If you live in Dade County, anybody has property in Dade County, if the property is vacant, you still have to pay it in your taxes. This is an assessment. Water and sewer, you don't pay it. If you don't use the service, you don't pay it.
But still, you have to pay for garbage service that's not being provided when you start taking it on the tax, putting it on tax rolls and not on the tenant.
No, sir. What he's saying is that's an assessment. It's different than a bill. That's an assessment. It's something we have to pay to the county, and it's something that is an assessment.
Oh, yes, I understand that. I live in the county. I know how the county assesses garbage service.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lobos.
Mayor Bell, I just want to clarify again, and it's going to be my last comment on this item.
I'm going to clarify something too. Councilwoman Lobos is the city's Finance and Enterprise Chair, so the fact that the motion came from the Finance and Enterprise Chair, I think, is weighty, and that has a lot to do with deferring to your expertise as working on the budget as well.
At the last council meeting, the item came up to increase our stormwater rate by 2%, which equals 7 cents. And there was discussion at that time about the tax assessment on the bill. And what I said at that time was a vote on that actual item at the last council meeting was not going to be productive to the problem of the tax roll assessment. because there was nothing on the agenda at the council meeting that would have addressed this. Earlier today, I think about 45 minutes ago, as we were discussing the increase of the 2%, there was nothing productive that vote from me would have done to address the issue that everybody kept bringing up. That's why I waited until tab 15 to address that matter. And I also knew that the resolution, which came to council prior, had unanimous support. So I wanted to introduce it to let everybody know that this is something that we weren't bound to, the previous resolution. So there's been a lot of thought put into it. A lot of the people that have spoken, I decided to do something about it when it was a productive vote to do something about that. Thank you, Mayor Bell.
Thank you very much. We have a motion, we have a second on the floor.
Just to clarify, I checked with the clerk, the motion that was made was to approve the resolution. That was what was on the floor.
Right, so we're going to vote.
So I think the right thing to do, even though another motion was made later, if you want, or against, you should vote no.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much for the clarification. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
No.
Councilman Nelson?
No.
Councilwoman Sierra?
No.
Councilwoman Waldman?
No.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
No.
Councilwoman Lobos?
No.
Mayor Bell?
No.
Motion dies.
Thank you. Now we have 16, same process with 16.
One quick comment.
Before a lot of you leave, I really would encourage you to come back to the council meetings. Come back when it's not such a contentious issue and show up at these council meetings and let us see your faces, except for when it's not a tax issue. We'd love to see you, and I really think that an informed electorate is a great electorate. So please come back to the meetings. Don't just come when it's a contentious issue. We want to see your faces here at these meetings. Thank you.
I don't want to see the same people next year. New people maybe, not the same people.
We're going to get the camera. We're going to scan before next year, by the way. Thank you so much. We have the next item as well.
A resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, relating to the provision of stormwater management service provided by the city's stormwater utility, imposing stormwater service assessments against real property within the City of Homestead, approving the stormwater assessment role, confirming the initial assessment resolution, and providing for an effective date.
If nobody moves it, seconds it, it's dead. So let's just not move it.
To show that died for lack of...
It died for lack of support. There's no motion. There's no second. The motion has died.
I would like to thank Heather for her help. And
thank you, Heather. We'll see you again next year.
Another trip to Homestead?
I will tell you, it's an expensive process, noticing and doing the advertising and everything all over again, so we will be doing it again. Spread the word. 12 months from now, okay, everybody? Spread the word. Moving on.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, waiving competitive bidding requirement for a contract for professional services for T.R. Jones and Company in accordance with Section 2-411.182, exemption from competitive bidding, providing for an effective date.
Move it, Mayor.
It's been properly moved. I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from this council? Any comments or questions from the public? Thank you so much. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, waiving competitive bidding requirement for a contract with Fireman's Fund Insurance in accordance with Section 2-411B, exemption from competitive bidding, providing for an effective date.
I'll move it. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from this council? Any comments or questions from the public? Thank you so much. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, waiving competitive bidding requirement for a contract with Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust in accordance with Section 2-411B, exemption from competitive bidding, providing for an effective date.
Move it.
A second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? Thank you very much. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, waiving competitive bidding requirement for a contract with St. Paul's Travelers Insurance in accordance with Section 2-411B, exemption from competitive bidding, providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
I'll second. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Any comments or questions from the public? Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and adopting a grant award from We Care South Bay, providing for a repealer, providing for severability and effective date.
So moved.
The item's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Manager.
Mayor, council members, I just want to highlight something here. Councilwoman Lobos asked Joanna to look at how much grants we got in that shop from the police department. In the last 3 years, it's in excess of $5 million worth of grants.
Wow.
So my hat off for everybody there. Scott, please give him a...
Thank you very much. The item has been moved and the item has been seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Thank you for that, Mr. Manager. Any comments or questions from the public? Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and adopting a grant award from the Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program JAG grant, and providing for repealer, severability, and effective date.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Been properly seconded. Any comments or questions from council?
We have a staff report, Mayor Bell?
Certainly. On the grant?
Again, it's just really to accept the grant. I would say the same comments about how good of a job they're doing in the SOS.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
I apologize.
Okay.
I'm moving fast.
Comments or questions from the public? Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now, next item.
Now the non-controversial bidding items.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just a recommendation to award a bid. It's just a motion. There's not actually a resolution.
You want to go ahead and,
Mayor,
want me to do it?
before we start with these next few items, I want to just make a general comment because practically since I became city manager and maybe since even this council, the new council is on board, these are the largest awards we're going to have. And I know, I completely understand the direction you're giving me from day one, that you want us to look at quality and you want us to look at the performance, prior performance of contractors and the ability to finish the job and do a good job for the city of Homestead. And I can tell you with these awards you're going to have tonight, based on my recommendation, everything you instructed me to do is incorporated in the
Thank you.
recommendation.
Thank you very much.
First item is the wastewater collection system rehabilitation under tab 23.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move it.
The item's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Any comments or questions from the public? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
James Arthur Smith, Park, bid number 200929.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second it with comments, please.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Vice Mayor Burgess.
Mr. Manager, given the size of these contracts and all, and some problems that the city has had in the past with contractors, do we have a plan in place to have a good overseer of these projects, to hold them to the word so that we don't have problems at the end of it with large overruns again, which we've seen come before this council, projects being put in not done correctly and all that. And also, I would like to request that the council is given some kind of maybe bi-weekly or monthly update on how the projects are going so that we're aware of any problems that come up and that we may be facing, so they're not a shock at the end of the project and we've got a large overrun or we've got a problem where we end up in some sort of litigation.
Vice Mayor, council members, the monthly report, if I do it bi-weekly, it will be too much information. Right. So we will do a monthly report.
I mean, these are large capital, improvement projects, so I'd like to...
Absolutely. These are, this, and we're going to have more capital projects. Julio is the construction manager for all these projects, and Julio has extensive knowledge in construction management. I can tell you we tried, we went back, like for example, it's not this one, but the next one, we went back to the architects and we practically have to look at the plans from scratch to look at what's been asked for, what we can do, and how we can reasonably cut expenses, and we did dramatically. You will see the next award. Right. With this one, definitely we looked at performance, and we care about the performance, how contractors perform. Change orders in construction is... They happen. Exactly. You try your best not to have any change orders, but it's common to have about 10% contingency for change orders in any project. But again, we try our best to do a good job with whatever we inherited to practically also meet time. With these projects, we have timeline for grants, so we try to do the best job with the time frame we have. And I think we have a very decent job in terms of building it out. And what we did different than any time before, we had these plans permitted before we hire a contractor. For example, some other projects, the contractor started, then they start doing the permits, and so many things start surfacing later, which translate into change orders and delays and all that stuff. But in this case, we had the permits obtained before we started. And we're doing the same thing with, by the way, with City Hall.
Madam Mayor, because I think that there's going to be some speakers on these items, what I would suggest as a matter of procedure is, first of all, I'd like to instruct you that on each one of these items, your job, the job is to award the contract to the lowest, most responsible vendor. I would suggest as a procedure that you start out with a recommendation from the manager, a brief summary of why he's recommending the thing.
That's what I was just getting to.
And then hear from the people in the public that would like to be heard.
Thank you.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
May I make a comment to add to what the Vice Mayor stated? I agree with that, Mr. Shahada. Every week I ask you on the status of the Harris Field. When we first were elected, the first change order that came before us was for $100,000, which was almost 60% of the cost of the project. And since then, I've been asking for a report on when is it going to be finished. And I know that we have minor things, but when is it going to be finished means when can we close the book on that construction as finished, not that there's a gate left, that there's a bathroom door left, that that's still an unfinished project. So I think that in your report, if this is the process that you're going to utilize, if we can just get a date as to when we're no longer looking at it as a construction project, that would be very helpful. And over the past 10 months, I've seen a great improvement on change orders. We have had absolutely, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't had any change orders, which is what we expect. If somebody who's knowledgeable of the field gives us an estimate, the change orders should be so minimal that you don't have to come before council for. If the change orders are like what we were used to seeing prior, it would mean that they didn't know what they were talking about because the estimates were so off course of what we thought the project was going to cost.
Absolutely. We'll definitely incorporate your comments into the reports.
And I appreciate the tightening as we've seen, because I've always been concerned with somebody getting a bid being the lower responsive bidder and then having high change orders. Right. So that's always been a concern of mine as well. And I also bother the manager quite frequently and ask him for updates. So rather than all of us bothering the manager and asking him for updates, I think a public update would be great. And I think monthly would be wonderful, Mr. Manager. Thank you. Would you please give us the background on this next bid so we can move on?
Mayor, this is for James Archer Smith Park. It's my recommendation for council to award the contract to Link Construction for being the lowest, most responsible vendor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The item has been moved and seconded already. Are there any comments for the manager before we open the floor for a public hearing?
Yes, Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman Waldman.
Thank you. Just for the public, on the bid tabulation, the Homestead Concrete and Drainage, they were the lower bidder. I know we've done business with them before. Can you tell me, Mr. Manager, you just didn't feel they were responsive enough, or why were they eliminated?
Councilwoman Wardman, Mayor, council members, actually, in the definition of responsive, we don't consider them responsible based on their performance in city projects. We have, of course, the bathroom project is taking longer than the Pentagon to build. The other thing is when you go to the Audubon Park, they have a disagreement with the city about an item that we have a letter from them to do. We met with the owner, Mr. George Ramon, in my office, me and Joanna, where he came to practically and do what he agreed to do with the city. And we told him, it's really black and white that this is your responsibility. And he actually in our office said he will do it under protest, which is very common in the industry. If you disagree, you don't just walk away from project. Unfortunately, he did walk away from the project. And Audubon Park, many of you on council are receiving calls from citizens why the park is not finished. Well, it's been handled out by our attorneys, and they walk away. And the potential cost of the city is about $80,000 to finish the project. So based on their performance, I consider them non-responsive, and I'm not recommending them for our work tonight.
The reason I was asking Mr. Shahada is that I do know that they do operate in the southwest area, and they do employ about 70 people, so it was concerning to me as to why they were marked off, and I was not told why, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman Waldman. Councilman McCormick.
That was also my concern. But looking at the price, from my understanding, the amount of money that is left on Audubon Park is $80,000, and it's a balance of a difference of $100,000 to the Link Construction Group. And I'm trying to figure out if we did business with this company before, and what would you get a recommendation to go at Link Construction from?
My recommendation for Link Construction, of course, the staff recommended to me. I got together with the staff and with purchasing department, verified their background and prior performance. They have outstanding record. And based on the information provided to us, we don't have first-hand experience with Link Construction, but when we verify with other clients, they give us very good references, and they will use them again and again. Therefore, unfortunately, with Homestead Concrete, it's our first-hand experience with them that they walk away from project without finishing. We're still dealing with it, and of course, it's one of these things where you'd like me to finish yesterday, but since litigations is involved with it, potential litigations, I have to do it in baby steps because I'm coordinating everything with the city attorneys.
That's very well understood, and I would like for the public to know that we do support local businesses, and I would just like to once again, let the public know we support local businesses. So if there's something that was not awarded to a local business, then it has to be a definitive reason why. And I just want that stated for the public record on what that was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McCormick. Thank you. Any further comments from council before I turn it over? Please, sir, step up and state your name.
Good evening. My name is Alfredo. I'm with Homestead Concrete. Address is 221 Southwest 4th Avenue.
Alfredo, what's your last name, please?
Cordero.
Could you spell it for the record, please?
Cordero.
Thank you.
I would like to, basically, to what the city manager was speaking about, change orders and whatnot. We do have an ongoing issue with the city of Homestead with the Audubon Park. They have some turf issues. We have the letters from our side. Lawyers are involved back and forth, explaining to them, trying to get a hold of the city, explaining to them that we're really ready to move forward with this, but there's some issues that are not in black and white, and I have plans that we can basically open them up. It specifies some amenities that are supposed to be provided to us by the city of Homestead, and at the end of it, it says the forever lawn that we're all aware of. This has been ongoing since April 23rd. We've been speaking to Walton. We have not had anything back to us. We've been trying to contact Mr. Shahadi, a couple of council members, project managers. Nothing from them. We keep saying that we're going to meet, there's going to be back and forth. We haven't heard anything on their behalf. I keep hearing that. And if we're going to step back to Harris Field is a
complete project. If you need documentation, I just got a change order signed from the city of Homestead for the railings that was not from our default. It was fire inspection, didn't pass approval, so therefore there is a change order. It was basically an architecture job was not complete from the architect side, so we take the bad side, asking the city to please help us out with this. We just got a change order from the city of Homestead 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and this item takes 6 weeks to make. And we've been fighting. I got emails, I got letters back and forth. Project managers, some of them are no longer with the city, some of them are just got aboard, don't know the whole story. So basically we can put that project behind it's completed. Everything is back in the city of Homestead. But going back to Audubon Park, we have been trying to contact someone verbally, letters, phones, messages. I even myself have come here quite a few times with all the members from, that basically control our company to try to get in contact with someone to make this happen. And I mean, letters don't lie, dates don't lie. It's all here. I got it all. I got a copy for everyone, if everyone would like to see it. I mean, I'm a local contractor, been here for 37 years. My father's been the owner for a business. The new generation coming in here, and we got over 70 employees in the city of Homestead that live in the city of Homestead, and I don't see why, we're saving the city over $100,000 on the contract.
Thank you.
Mayor, again, I don't really want to debate change orders here because this is going to be ended up in litigation, and I don't really like to discuss it here. Before we told Homestead Concrete that we're going to go to their bond company because that's something they have to provide to the city of Homestead. The city attorney wrote them 2 letters giving them an opportunity to cure. They did not care. Their cure was to just walk away from the project and leave us stuck with it. I can tell you I retain money for us to be able to finish the project, but of course I cannot do anything without going to city attorneys. This is the first time I'm becoming aware that he was trying to schedule a meeting with the city manager. I have my assistants will be happy to meet with you. And this will be an email that you requested a meeting with me. The only time I became aware of you trying to... Please let me finish.
I disagree.
Can you please let me finish? Doesn't interrupt you, allow me to finish. When the only time I became aware you're trying to schedule meetings is when you start calling elected officials you're trying to talk to. As a matter of fact, you wanted to meet with an elected official today, knowing that's a cone of silence violation. And luckily the elected official came and talked to me and said, "What's going on?" I said, "This is a cone of silence. You cannot talk." I just wanted to know that what you just did tonight, misrepresentation of the record, is exactly what the type of problem we have in a company like yours. I hear you talking about this with the prior administration, and I believed you. I don't believe you now, with all due respect. The letter you're referring to is practically was sent to us Friday or Thursday. What you are, more or less, I don't want to paraphrase the letter you sent, practically we are willing to work with you and finish the project. You could raise it. Julio has the copy of the letter, and Mr. Wob, and send you a reply back to it Friday. You're practically saying, if you allow us to finish if you award us the contract, we will finish the project. I'm sorry, this is not blackmail.
Can't do that.
I'm not going to back away from my recommendation because I don't want to deal with contractors like you who are not willing to practically fulfill their commitment. I know George for a long time. I respect George for a long time. But when you come and meet with me and you tell me I'm going to do something, you've been a contractor, you're telling me, for 30 years. The way you do business, if you disagree with a client, you don't just walk away from the project. This is not a change order. This is a part of the big package. And again, I'm not really going to make any more comments about the dispute. I just want to correct the record that he's been trying to get a hold of staff and practically nobody's replying. Mr. Wogan has been proactive with his attorneys, to try to find a resolution. Actually, the information I received from Mr. Woban that their attorney wants to have some kind of a settlement with us, which I said I am willing to sit down and discuss, but Homestead Concrete doesn't want.
Excuse me, just one last thing. We have not settled anything. The letter specifies here. It specifies here. I mean, black and white, like you said. April 23rd was our letter sent to you guys from Mr. Wolpen. We got a Just yesterday or Friday of last week, we just got a letter from you guys stating of what, that he basically said you guys are not giving him an answer. I had to go search high and low to speak to project managers, to talk to somebody to help us to see what's going on. Why are they not hearing us? We've called you. I've come specifically here.
Sir, you've had your time to state your case. You've had your time. The manager responded. The manager has kept me abreast of this situation the entire time with Audubon Park. And there was a problem, and you did walk off the job, and I did take a look at the letters from the attorneys, and that project has been sitting there stale for months now, and that can't be debated. And we also had issues and problems that we're not going to go into now with another project. So I'm going to go with the manager's recommendation. Just 1 minute. I'm going to let you speak, but I'm going to support the manager's recommendation. These decisions, and with all due respect, these decisions are not made lightly. If you look at the tab, you have unanimous recommendation to go with Link from 1, 2, 3, 4 different highly respected members of our staff. And I'm going to go with their recommendation and the manager's recommendation. But I do appreciate your comments. Yes, sir. You have the clock.
Walter Stevens, the attorney at counsel for Homestead Concrete. Unfortunately, like Paul Harvey says, not for the rest of the story. I understand why the board feels the way it does and the way they feel that Homestead abandoned the project. What you don't know is that the reason why the work cannot be completed is the lawn that they want. The plans show that it has to be on a sand base. The problem is the lawn that they want has to be installed on a gravel 8-inch or a concrete base. It cannot be built according to the drawings. The drawings are defective. Change order number 2, which I sent a letter to Mr. Wolpen on April 23rd, 2008. There's an issue of whether or not it's part of the contract. That, I understand your concern. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something completely different. The work cannot go forward until the plans are changed. Homestead does not have the authority to unilaterally change the construction without a change order. They're talking about the foundation for this forever lawn. They need a change order, and in my correspondence on April, 5 months ago to Mr. Wolpen, I said, look, we'll do the work. You look at my letter. I have copies here that I'd like the board to take a look at. I sent a letter on April of this year to Mr. Wolpen, and I said, just give us change order number 2, which deals with the base. We'll do the work. We have no problem. In fact, if you want to accelerate the work, we have an alternative because it's going to take longer to get the forever lawn. We have another alternative lawn system which can come in quicker because we can do the installation. The forever lawn has to be done by them. I asked Mr. Wolpen to please respond. Now, the reason why I wrote is because Mr. Wolpen had written a letter on behalf of the city. I, as an attorney, cannot talk to the client. I have to talk to the attorney. I wrote to Mr. Wolpen. I talked to him, and I left messages with him continuously every month, and he would not give me an answer on what was going on. Again, I wrote a letter again on August 5th of this year saying we are still waiting for change order number 2 so we can complete the project. They want to complete the project. Again, I wrote on August 21st. We were waiting for change order number 2 because the plans are defective. We want to finish the project, but we can't do it because the plans are defective. For them to say that we abandoned the project ignores that Mr. Wolpen never, ever responded to my correspondence. I spoke to him today, and he thought, well, you guys never offered to finish the work. I said, did you read my April 2008 letter? My April letter said, we will do the work. He was not even aware that we were willing to do the work in April, but we needed the foundation changed.
You know what? I really have had enough. David Wolpen is too good of a lawyer, and he's actually at another meeting this evening.
I know, and I spoke to him.
I'm his partner. You know what? We have serious problems with the city has serious problems with the way your client handled this work. We don't agree with much of what you've said. I'm not going.
Did you respond?
I am not. Did I respond? Yes, Mr. Wolpen responded.
No, he never wrote me a letter.
Okay, well, I'm not going to get involved in a debate with you over this. I'm not going to debate this. The point is that the manager has decided, based upon your work with the city, that he's not satisfied with that work. And that's his judgment. And that is his judgment.
But what concerns me is my client is being slandered by saying that they abandoned the project when their hands are tied. They can't go forward, they can't go backward, and yet they don't have an ability to defend themselves. Nobody's looking at the documents saying, we need help in resolving this problem.
Excuse me, I'm going to call this conversation. I'm very concerned with some of the comments that were used here tonight. I'm very concerned that the word slandered was just used. I think we need to close this. I think we need to close the conversation out immediately. Mr. Manager.
Mayor, I just want to tell you what you see right now by the client and his attorney is a slice of what we have to deal with Homestead Concrete. And I rest my case. You all know David Rubin very well. To know that David Rubin will conduct himself according to the way he was described. I rest my case. You all know him very well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'd be happy to have a response from him.
Thank you very much. I'm closing the item. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Mayor, council member, this item has to do with the William Dickinson Community Center. It's my recommendation to award the contract to the lowest responsive bidder, Tran Construction Inc., and I'd like to give you a little bit of background too. Can I continue?
I'll move it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Manager?
Mayor, council members,
excuse me, but I think, did you say Tran? Because the item says link. You just said Tran.
It's Tran.
You meant link.
Sheila sent an email correction Friday.
Okay, wait.
So that...
I apologize. I have my book. Let me make sure I've got the right... I just want to make sure that everything is correct. In our packet, please continue, but our packet does say link.
Mayor, if I give you a little bit of the background, I clarify it.
Thank you.
The recommendation came to me from staff to award it to Link Construction. And I had a meeting with staff on Friday, and I had a meeting with staff on Thursday and Friday, which practically I wanted staff to verify and give me more information about the background of Tran, since the recommendation from staff, based on the information they had presented to them, they recommended it to be awarded to Link Construction. After I received the information from the City of Miami, the City of Miami Beach, about the background of Tran, because they were practically disqualified based on their background or lack of having enough information about their background. Frankly speaking, when I received the information, Tran did an outstanding job for the City of Miami. They just awarded them a contract for $4 million. They did two similar projects for the City of Miami Beach. They did the one in, you see on US 1 now going to downtown. Tran is a good company. Link is a good company. That's why we are awarding them the other project. But unfortunately, fortunately, we base it based on the responsive, lowest price, and Tran happened to be the one.
That saves us quite a bit of money too, so that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Saves us over $200,000. So
definitely, but really the incentive here is, do they have the background to do the job? And yes, they do have the background to do the job.
I'm just saying that it's an added bonus to have it less expensive.
Sure. We received, of course, if you look at the staff recommendation, staff recommended Link. I had two options. Based on the new information provided to the city, I had the option to tell staff, go back and debate the new information submitted to you, or I could always submit my own recommendation to you, and you could also overturn my recommendation. So my recommendation was to go with the Tran, but that's not to look like I'm going against staff recommendation. I discussed it with them individually, and they all stated to me if they had the information available to them, it would have been no-brainer to recommend Tran for the project.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Please step up to the microphone, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor, City Council members, City Manager and Attorney, as well as the review panel that's here present. First of all, I want to tell you that my name is Orlando Ceballos with Link Construction Group. I am pre-construction manager for the company, and Guillermo Fernandez, the president of the company, is here as well accompanying us. I appreciate the support by the city manager for the previous project, and as you actually had yourself, we were definitely the recommended review panel company to do the work for this community center. What I'd like to do is present to you the reasons why we were selected versus having to adjust the submittal package to then choose the Trend Construction and be recommended by the well-intended city manager. And additionally, I'd like to tell you a little bit of what my work entails. Is it okay to pass you the information, please?
It's okay. I really don't want to spend a lot more time on this. I mean, I find it interesting that you just were awarded one bid and now you're sitting here contesting the manager's decision about this bid, but of course we trusted the manager to give you the bid on the previous item, and now we're not trusting the manager to award it to the next one, so I'm a little set back.
And that's what I want to clarify, if you allow me, please.
I'm going to allow this, but I don't know that it's terribly appropriate.
Okay. Basically, I'd like to tell you what my job entails. It entails memorizing bid documents provided by the city manager and attorney. They deal with logistics of the bid process. Commonly accepted, we are a CSPE minority company in all municipalities and public work. It makes it fair so all the bidders have the same information and have to submit apples to apples at the end of the day. We did our homework, due diligence from the start, and unfortunately, Trend Construction, by the review panel after submittals were turned in, not post-submittal, because as found in your own bid documentation, which is basically what we call a law, there were some principles and laws that they broke on your own book that deemed them unresponsive and disqualified. Now, that part was posted publicly on the website, and we received, obviously, from the website that recommendation, and it was a little bit troubling to see that at the end of the actual posting of that, this afternoon, the website changed, and they recommended Trend, a company that had been disqualified and shouldn't even be part of the process, as the recommended company. What our intent is not to bring down the decision made. I'm sure it was well intended. However, definite rules and regulations of the bid process were broken and deemed as a disqualified company when processed by the review panel.
Let me refer to our attorney.
Let me interrupt just for a second.
Sure.
Because in dealing with bidding items, and I don't think we've dealt with one at the council other than this evening, there's two types of defects in bids. Some are waivable and some are not waivable. And we were very involved on a daily basis with Mike and his staff dealing with some of the items that the recommended bidder did not comply with, dealing with a pre-bid conference and some other documents that need to be signed. And basically what the law says is that those items which give somebody a competitive advantage cannot be waived. The items that are basically technicalities and don't give someone a competitive advantage can be waived. And we worked with the staff on this, and the items, he's correct, which were there certain items that the recommended bidder did not follow some of the procedures, but we looked at them, and our bid documents allow us to waive irregularities when it's in the best interest of the city. So we looked at the items, we said, were the violations that were done by the recommended bidder, did they give that bidder a competitive advantage, like let's say not including your price or turning in your bid late after the bids were open. And we looked at all those items and we determined that the violations were waivable, and we made a determination, and Mike did, that they should be waived because they were those type of things, and they didn't create an unfair advantage. And that's why, so you don't have that much time, so I don't want you to waste a lot of time on that. He's correct, but they were waivable items, and that's what the staff is recommending.
Mayor, also I'd like to add that we did receive a protest letter from Link Construction, and it was reviewed by staff and David Rubin, and Richard, of course, and we met and discussed it also. And I can tell you what is in front of you as a recommendation is solid. And I ask you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manager. You have about 30 seconds.
Come on now.
No.
All right.
Brief. That's it.
You said basically that this is the law, like the Bible. There's laws and principles. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife. You know, you look at her, but you don't do anything. Listen, and you're not punished. But laws were broken here, and this is what we call the big Bible. Just our list is solid, and I'd like for them at least to review it before a recommendation is made with a company that was disqualified by a panel of more than 5 of your own city personnel, please.
You know, Mayor, please, I don't like to let anything slide by without really having it clarified. When I said about my staff, I actually like them to speak one by one. If Sharif, you had the information that became available to me Friday afternoon, what will be your recommendation?
I agree with you 100%, Mike.
Julio, what will be your recommendation?
Yeah, the recommendation will be TRAN. Basically, the information we had at the time that we did the review was,
but I just want to put my...
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Robert, what will be your recommendation?
Can Julio finish what he was going to say? I want to hear what he was saying. What were you saying, Julio?
Well, I think basically just following up what Michael's saying, that the information that we had at the time that we did the review was missing some very key information that actually made it easier for us to pick TRAN at the end of the day. I mean, once we knew that information from the projects that were relevant to the project that we're doing now, that's when we decided to go with or we agreed with going with TRAN.
Robert? And Mayor, I'd like to say something.
The only thing is I agree with everything you're saying. I think a heads up would have been nice. Go ahead, Robert.
I just want to go on record that I agree with the decision also.
Vice Mayor.
I guess this is pointing towards Richard. If we accept this person with what this gentleman said and some other comments have been made, are we opening ourselves up to anything?
An unhappy bidder, an unsuccessful bidder can always file suit, but we feel that what the staff is recommending is clearly defensible and within the outlines of the case law that deal with the subject.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor Bell.
Councilwoman Lobos.
I don't want to drag this on all night, but I have a question. What would be the process if we were to just redo the bid? I mean, it's just too messy. Let me tell you, Mr. Shahada, this is too messy. And this requires technicality and detail that, I mean, obviously we're not afforded to if we just have something to read. So can you just answer that question, please?
If we have to rebid the project, it will we will lose a grant for $500,000.
And it will severely delay the project anyway, even if it wasn't, right?
And it may look messy, I could have chosen the process of sending the committee back to look at the information available. I'll be very honest with you, when trying with the information, they mentioned the project they did they do a good job in presenting their qualifications? I can tell you no. But when we verified, they came back with glowing recommendations. Link did an outstanding job in presenting their qualifications up front. But let me just also make it very clear, when we award the contract, we don't award it to the most qualified contractor. We award it to the contractor who meets the qualifications of the city with the lowest price. And that's how I'm making my recommendation.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you. Let's move on. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the...
You're welcome. Thank you. And I'm sure you're going to do a wonderful job on the previous bid.
Hopefully so. Guaranteed.
Oh, I absolutely know it. I'm sure of it. You have about 30 seconds.
That's all I'll take. Good evening. Joseph Goldstein from Schutz & Bowen on behalf of Tran Construction. Henry Loudon, the president and principal, is here. I think it's been exaggerated, the lack of information that they did not provide in their bid, but I won't go into that. I see where the council is leaning. But just so you know, Tran Construction has been, Mr. Loudon has been in the construction business for 20 years. His company's been in business for 10 years. They employ lots of people here in South Miami. They're going to do a good job for you. When the issue was first raised that their bid was non-responsive for failing to include a signed addendum, we quickly brought it to the attention of your legal counsel. They did the right thing to their credit. It is a minor irregularity because they did send their addendum in. They just failed to sign it, but they acknowledged the addendum on the bid form. All the other technicalities that Link is raising, two of them they also had problems with their own bid as to the response time, as to not signing the addendum. You're getting a good contractor. You're saving approximately $230,000, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think $237,000 to be exact. But thank you very much. I appreciate both of you. I know you're both going to do a fabulous job for the City of Homestead, and I certainly don't want to delay this project one more second. So let's go ahead and close this. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next
And
item
Mr.
is-
Manager, I know I was a little bit tough because I didn't have the information in front of me, but I do appreciate you going back and taking another look and doing your homework and standing on the fact that there was a correction that was needed, so thank you for that. Next item.
200831 power plant roof repair.
I'll move approval.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council?
Question, Mayor.
Question, Councilwoman Waldman.
Afraid to ask this question. On the bid, again, I go back to Hilson, Bob Hilson and Company. That's the Hilson Roofing that's in Homestead, right? Yes, it is. Okay. I was just a little confused because their hourly rate is low, but their bid is high. So I'm wondering, Mr. Manager, if maybe you could, put some sort of, in the future, some sort of idea as to length of job, as to how long they think a job will take to do. Because obviously, the what was the name of the company? Advanced Roofing. They have the lower bid price, but their hourly rate is higher. So, if we could just get an idea, like if they think it's going to be 2 weeks, or if they think it's going to be 3 weeks.
Again, Brian is just whispering to me here, and Brian, I just send it over to you. The hourly rate, that's for additional work if we need to do an additional work.
Okay.
But there is a lump sum price for the repair.
I see.
We need done, but that's for miscellaneous
Thank you for your clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And actually, that was the highest bidder of everybody.
Yeah, I just didn't understand that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any further comments or questions from council?
No.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess? Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll open the floor for public comments, because Lord knows we haven't had enough. Please, come to the microphone. And yours were the thoughtful comments I was referring to, by the way.
Thank you. My name is Dorothy Diaz. I want to thank you for listening to the comments that we had and for tabling the, to put this on our taxes right now. There is one other comment or two I would like to make. One would be the mailing. I understand the attorney stated that everything was done as far as publicly notifying the public by putting it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
But I think sending out mailers, even if it's in our utility bills, which a lot of times that's how we receive information or used to receive information, to make sure that we are notified, it would help us. And the other comment is about the fact that it's already been decided that it will be on our taxes a year from now.
Haven't voted yet.
I know, well, that's my point, is what I want to get at, is I know you're saying that, you know, this is how it's going to be and we should save our money, etc. But again, that is my other comment. Perhaps other ways needs to be looked at rather than taking the money from us a year, you know, taking our money ahead of time and putting it on our taxes.
Well, Dorothy, thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
And let me tell you, it was the comments from the public that affected me. It wasn't the comments from council, it was the comments from the public. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something, but now that being said, we need, what we said here tonight was to prepare you for next year, because I'm going to tell you right now, I am supporting it for next year. It's something that we have to do. It's a bullet that we have to bite. It's something that must be done. So we're telling you, we're giving you a year notice to say, okay, now you can start putting that $40 a month or whatever that is away and prepare for this. The whole idea of killing this evening was because it was a sticker shock. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely agree with that. That to me, of everything that when you wrapped it all up, it was all about that. It was about that sticker shock. So the idea of this is giving everybody plenty of time and plenty of notice to let you know that we have heard you and we're not going to do that to you again.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you.
Good night, Mayor and Council.
Mr. Taylor, welcome.
I'm before you tonight, humbly begging that I have a meeting with the ERA board. I tried every way to meet with the ERA board, and I'm going right now. I'm going through a financial burden with the house that I provide down the southwest section. I don't know if everybody on the council knows, but what I do provide, I provide training, I provide job, and I provide housing. I mean, you've been at a couple of them, Mayor. And right now, there is no lender. There is no lender lending anybody, low income, no moderate income, any money. And I do have a person that want to purchase this house and put a low-income person there to live, somebody that work for them. And just because of there's a pre-construction agreement that I have with the city that I would like it to be waived because because without that I can't sell a property. And I'm in the process of losing 2 other property that I put up for collateral. Which on the deed restriction on the 2 other property that I put up, that I got, was donated to me. I put deed restriction on it that all the money or proceeds that is made from those 2 property is going to be spent in the southwest section. I was the one, if you remember, Mayor, send back money to that company downtown that sponsored the training. I think it was Empowerment Trust. I was the one that got the write-up in the paper, send back money. I'm the one that trained all the people in the Southwest section. Work with South Florida Workforce. The council asked me in 2006 to start some kind of job training in the Southwest section. I'm the one sitting on the Planning and Zoning Board. I know there's a job training and a job provision element in the master plan and the building. I'm the one that asked us to make the model for the Southwest section. The Key West style with the metal roof and all those nice things. I'm the one that do that. And I mean, from what I'm hearing, and the proposal that was made to me, I think it's a little bit unfair. I think it's a little bit unfair, and I mean, I would like to just lay out everything. And you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm not up here, I don't want to embarrass my city, I love my city. And I mean, I would just love this to be discussed, amongst the new council members that are here, because there's an economic turndown, and it takes a special person to buy a house in the southwest section where this is located. It's an infill property, and I mean, I'm telling you, what's going to happen if they start a foreclosure on me? I know. There's a foreclosure. I volunteer a lot of time to this council every Wednesday, so they can give me a couple of 3 more minutes. The Southwest section too, but What I'm asking is just for the council to see my plight and to see that if they change this one restriction, I mean, it'd be a win-win for the city, for the resident in the southwest section where I do teach, and I mean, put them out to employment.
Mike, I'd like to start answering you right now. I totally understand what you're saying. I met with you about this issue, I met with the manager about this issue, and I met with Mr. Wick about the issue. And I was informed that they gave you very, very real solutions, that you rejected those solutions. The problem is, Mr. Taylor, we have an agreement, a pre-construction agreement that deals with city land.
Yes.
You can't just throw an agreement out. You can't do it. I mean, that would be, it's city land. It belongs to the city taxpayer property. You just can't waive it and give it away.
I'm not saying give it away, Ms. Bell, and I'm not saying away from it, but listen to me.
But there is an agreement in writing.
It's an agreement.
I don't want a scandal like we saw in Dade County.
Yeah, no.
Mr. Manager, would you, I would like the manager to
But 1 second now.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, there's real estate people in here, everybody. Tell me what lot in the southwest section values $70,000.
Mr. Manager.
I know the council might appreciate for that, but the lot was given to me. I was in business with me and the city. I got documents here. Me and the city was in business. They asked me to go out and make the market. Now the market turned down, and they give away 8 other lots with no retrieval cost, but Mike Taylor that been here, work here, volunteer here, teach here, find people job, got to be subject to a $70,000 or give back a lot. I can't give back a lot without I get back one of my 2 lots.
Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mike.
Mayor, council members, again, I must say, in the beginning, I love Mike Taylor. So it's not
was always fun.
It's not something personal. It's really business decisions. And if anybody knows me when it comes to business decisions, Mike Taylor. Again, we met initially in the mayor's office where Mike Taylor came and said, I have this issue that I really want the city to help me. And I said, Mike, based on the information you presented to us tonight, it seemed like it's a very simple issue to resolve. So I instructed Dan to work with the city attorneys, and Dan got together with the city attorneys, that's David Wubin and Lillian Derlango. After they look at the agreement, I can tell you normally the city attorneys do not get involved with business decisions. And they told me and told Dan, we do not get involved with business decisions, but we want you to be aware that if you are going to just do it the way it's proposed to be done, you are bringing a very big problem for council in terms of nightmare. This is exactly what happened in Dade County Housing Department. Practically the property is given to the entity. I know Mike disagrees when we say we're giving the property to Mike Taylor. The assessed value, the $70,000 Mike mentioned, that's the assessed value. That's not something the city of Homestead making up. It's whatever the tax assessor put in the property, that's what we're mentioning. So we tried, we got together with Mike and we say, we understand the economic reality of the situation. However, this lot was given to this body or to this entity with the understanding the house will be sold to a low-income person. And it had priorities, somebody living in the southwest, if not somebody living in Homestead, if not somebody living in the area. Well, they could not sell the house. Now Mike wants to sell the house, and all what he can find, that initially his partner wanted to buy it, and then somebody else, which they do not both qualify according to their income. So we said to Mike, we have no problem allowing this to happen. We could do it in 2 ways. One way, they could just give us back the money for the lot. The other way, we could just write another contract and practically give them 2 years to go and sell that property to a low-income family based on the original conditions of the contract. But we have to have a collateral. We have to have a letter of credit. We have to have money in escrow or something like that. Both proposals are not apparently good for Mike based on my financial situation. Correct. There was also a time when Mike said, if it's going to go for foreclosure, I'm going to lose 2 more lots. I said, okay, if you have lots, maybe then you could swap land with us. I don't know what you decided to do with swapping land. If you give us a lot, one of these two lots adjacent to the property, equal in value to the lot we gave him, I'd be happy to just say, give us the land, we do the swap, you take that property and the house and do whatever you want.
Okay, good.
And dissolve the agreement.
Mike, can I ask the attorney a question? Mr. Attorney, now I got 2 lots that I put up for collateral for this business. I gave the manager and the mayor probably the foreclosure documents already, which is see the lands are. Now, what I'm asking is if I could sign some kind of agreement to give him back one of those lots and get the lots that he's talking about so they're freed up. I mean, I have a little more lot, Mike. I have a little more money to pay for it. There is in foreclosure, Mike. Mike, you got to remember now,
I have no problem if you want to do land swap and if legally sufficient, let's do the one land swap and we'll give you that land where the house is free and clear.
But Mike, we're going to have, the only way the land swap is going to happen is if I sign some agreement with the city, put up my house if I have to, and you release the agreement on that house that the person could buy so as the lender would release those two, Mike. Mike, you got to remember now, we gave neighborhood housing 8 lots with no retrieval cars on it. And that's what I'm looking at. And Mike Taylor had to make the model. And I went through Rick Sandra and Rick Stouts and back and forth. And all this money cost me, Mike. You know what I'm saying? The interest I pay alone. And just 14% interest. I show you these things, Mike. I show you everything. I was clear with you, Mike.
I feel your pain, trust me. But, you're asking me for a business decision that involves a lot for $70,000. And in clear conscience, I cannot just say, Mike, I feel for you. Let's just waive it. No,
Mike.
If council likes to debate it in the HERO board and they like to go against my recommendation, that's fine.
Mike, I'm not asking that. What I'm asking the attorney, is it possible that they could release the house to me and I will sign over the lot to them on the contingency that when the lot is given back to me, I give the lot to you, Mike. That's the only 2. I got 2 lots.
Yeah,
I mean,
if the council wants us to look at it, I'd be glad to look at it, but it sounds very contrived to me.
Yeah, because I put up the 2 lots for collateral, and that's all I have.
Mr. Chair, this is a conversation really that belongs in an office with you and Dan Wick and the attorneys. That's where this conversation belongs. It doesn't belong here.
When something is said in televised meeting, I like to clarify it for people who are looking at it home.
Sure.
Mike mentioned 8 lots were given to the land trust, I think, Dan.
No, given to a nonprofit workforce neighborhood housing. The previous administrator gave 8 lots with no contingency reverter clauses.
But I want to make it clear, previous administration,
that's right. I was just going to say that.
And it was a bad business decision. I will not do it personally. But
Mr. Taylor, there was, quite frankly, a lot of bad decisions that were done in the previous administration with the previous CEO. And we're not going to repeat those bad mistakes because those bad mistakes.
And I'll tell you one thing, Mayor. Mayor, let me tell you one more thing. And that's the reason why I want Mr. Stout was to do that. But back then, the climate was you could have get a mortgage easily. Now, it's a different time. Nobody's going to get a mortgage. Another thing, Mayor, the 2 lots that I have, I asked Dan Wick, the restricted deed on it, that every penny, every profit from it is going back in the southwest section. And that's the deed restriction on the 2 lots that I have right now. So my intention was to invest into my community and invest into the southwest section. Not a dime is going in my pocket. The money I didn't use from Empowerment Trust, I give it back to them.
I think, like I said earlier.
So sympathize, I'm looking for sympathy. What else can I say?
He needs help.
I went to business me in the city, and now I'm hurting. I'm left only because the banks won't lend the people their money. And
I understand, but I think that there are solutions, and you need to meet with the manager, the attorney, and Mr. Wick. And I think there are solutions here. I think you need to sit at a desk in an office and figure that out with the attorney, the manager, and the CRA director.
Thank you, Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mike.
I know it's a long night. Thank you.
Thank you.
No taxes either. That's very good. Thank you.
Business from the city manager.
Mayor, I have no business.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick.
I will wait till the next council meeting, Mayor Bell.
Thank you. Councilman Nelson.
I just want to say one thing. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was doing a ride-along with Sergeant Deegan, and she pointed out to me along our busway that none of the streetlights were working from all the way up to from Campbell all the way down through the southwest. And I contacted Dan Wick, and he got in contact with Isabel Padron from Metro-Dade Transit, and I'd like to say that they are now working.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your...
Thank you, Dan, for getting that done for me.
Thank you, Mr. Wick. Appreciate it.
And that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sierra.
I'm going to save my comments till the next meeting, Mayor.
Councilwoman Waldman.
Yes, just real quick, Mayor. During the month of September and October, I'm accepting letters for acts of kindness. People that you would like to recognize for really wonderful things that they do for someone in the community or the community themselves. So what I'll do, I'll just make it short. There was an article in the Newsleader, and I think there's going to be an article in the Herald, hopefully, about this kindness award. I give it every year, and Mr. Cooper Smith, as long as it's all right with Mr. City Manager, I'll give you something to put on the Homestead website as well, so I don't have to go through all the website addresses and telephone numbers. But please, if you know someone that's done something really remarkable or just a remarkable human being, please write a letter to me, and the ones that I've received so far are really wonderful. Also, time sensitive, I have to mention that I'm serving on the golf committee for the military affairs. It's the 39th annual golf tournament, and it's going to be October 10th at the Redland Golf and Country Club. And the reason I'm mentioning it now is that we're looking for sponsorships, people to sponsor I don't play golf, the holes, I guess, the tees. Thank you, John. Tees. Anyway, and any other kind of sponsorships that you might like to give. The military has always been supportive to this community, and there's a real possibility that the Homestead Air Force Base will be hosting an air show in November of 2009, which will increase the MAC and the community involvement, and this makes the fundraising so much more crucial. So anyway, just wanted to get that out, and I'll save the rest of the stuff till another day. Oh, one more thing. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please make your appointments now so that you can get your mammograms in October. Early detection does save lives. I'm a living example. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Waldman. Vice Mayor Burgess.
Just real quick, Mayor. On September 30th at 5 p.m., we're going to have a Mayor's Youth Council workshop, which was canceled due to the threat of the last hurricane. September 30th at 5 o'clock here in the chambers. The Community Image Advisory Board has set Tuesday, the second Tuesday of every month at 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. in here in the council chambers is their meeting time and place. And I see you've got a T-shirt, so I'll let you talk about the flag.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lobos.
Mayor Bell, I'll have a report about Main Street at the next council meeting, so I'll go ahead and defer to that. But I do want to say, Councilwoman Waldman, I will sign up to play golf.
Yeah, we promised the team. Yeah, we already promised the team, so we're on the hook. First item, Southwest Advisory Board appointment, Dwight E. Lee. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Thank you very much. There's a move and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you. I just really want to quickly just talk about one thing. This whole week were events about surrounding 9/11, and it started off a week ago Sunday at the VFW with a very nice walk, and Melvin McCormick, Councilman Lobos, Sierra, and myself, we did this walk. It was 2.3 miles, I believe, and it was a lovely walk. And then there was what was so moving was they have this moving wall, and they bring it in, and it's walls, and it's set up with every single name etched in it from every life lost in 9/11. So it was very, very touching. So I wanted to thank the VFW for starting out that week. Then we had on 9/11 out at the track, we had a blood drive, and Councilman Lobos and I rolled up our sleeves and gave blood, which I hate to do, but we did that on 9/11, and so that was on 9/11 exactly. So that was proud to do that. That's the one time I give blood every single year. And also we had on 9/11 at the Homestead Air Force Base, General Pagan and his wife had a ceremony in honor of 9/11, and we were in our seats, and it was the manager, Ms. Faddis, the vice mayor, and Councilwoman Sierra and myself, and we were sitting in our seats at the exact time that the planes hit the towers, and then they rang a bell 4 times for every single time a plane struck. They rang the bell for that. So it was a very touching event, and there really wasn't a dry eye in the house. And then the very next day, this is Special Operations Command South, by the way, SOC South. The same unit, SOC South, then did a run, a very long run, all the way to Biscayne National Park, where they asked me to be in the Biscayne National Park at exactly a certain time to receive the flag. The flag that you see right there was presented to the mayor for the city of Homestead from SOC South as our 9/11 flag, and we're going to display this flag every single 9/11 every single year. So I want to thank General Pagan, I want to thank his unit, and this is the SOC South shirt that they gave Councilwoman Sierra, the vice mayor, and myself. So I was very, very pleased. And there's other things, but that's all I'm going to say, to participate in all of the 9/11 activities for this particular week. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much for those of you that stayed the marathon, and God bless you, and this meeting is adjourned.